Boom, you're live.
All right, guys, welcome to this Thursday night edition of the Livewell here at Fish North Georgia. We are so glad you guys could join us tonight. And again, if you're watching at a later date, we love you too. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell and follow Fish North Georgia on all social media platforms. We've got an absolutely fantastic show for you tonight. Actually, one that means a lot more to me than usual because of the guests, and I'll explain that later. So, going to be talking summertime bass fishing and possibly some deep water finesse tactics to help you guys catch more fish. So that's what it's about. Let's take care of some business here, though, first with all our fine sponsors. As always, we start off with Trent and the guys over at Sonar Pros. He was on last week, guys. I'm telling you what, this is where the pros go to take their boat to get their sonar put in the right way. Give them a call at 770-530-4505 by appointment only. But again, if you want it done right, that's where you're going to take it. And, of course, if you're looking for a guided trip on Lake Lanier, you're not going to do any better than Kevin Underwood and Lip Sticker Fishing. He's on it every single day. If you follow us on the Fish North Georgia Facebook group page, he is always posting pictures there, putting his clients on super, super good-looking, nice-sized spotted bass. So you can check him out at lipstickerfishing.com, or you can check him out on his Facebook page and reach out to him there. Now, if you guys need a rod sleeve for all that expensive rods, I'm telling you right now, Evolve Fishing makes the best, absolutely the best rod sleeve on the market. It's got all the features you want, plus it floats. And for all of you guys that are like me, who just like chunking your rods into the rod locker, you will not get those tangles that you do with a regular rod sleeve. So we've got them here at Fish North Georgia. You can check them out at evolvefishing.com. If you're in the kayak game, our buddies over at Festive Waters off 369, close to Lake Lanier, they will take care of you. Whether you're into paddleboarding, whether you're in whitewater or fishing, they can set you up with the right product that you need. Check them out at www.festivewater.com. Tell them Fish North Georgia sent you. If you're like me and you get hung up a lot, you need a good plug knocker. And by far the best on the market is the Money Saver Lure Retriever. Guys, I'm telling you, there's a difference in this product than the rest of the plug knockers. And I know that's hard to believe, but you have to see this thing in action. It goes like a torpedo in the water and will absolutely slap your bait loose. So, again, got them here at Fish North Georgia. You can also get them on our website that we're building, Fish North Georgia Online. And, of course, behind me, if you're in the Jasper area and you need some tires for your vehicle, check out Brock and the guys at Turner Tires, 706-253-3339. Support your local family businesses. This is one of the best ones, and Brocky's a fisherman like us. If you want it done right with good service, Turner Tire. And my favorite, of course, Etowah Mead Beer and Wine in Dahlonega, Georgia. Guys, if you're into to the mead game, and I know a lot of you guys aren't, you need to try this stuff. Check out Etowah. If you're up in the Dahlonega area, they got a really cool bar area that you can go and just try out a few of these things. If you're not, check them out online because you can ship meat across the United States. Some of the best stuff. I know Kevin really likes it. Everybody that tries it likes it. But check out the guys up at Etowah Mead Beer and Wine in Dahlonega, Georgia, and have a good time. And again, tell them Fish North Georgia sent you. So looking at the live screen out there in the comment section, I hope you guys are ready to send questions for this young man tonight, because once I introduce him, you're going to know, if you're in the Lake Lanier area, you're going to know this name. But I want to introduce my cohorts. To my right, the one and only Mr. Kevin Thornton right there in all his pride and glory right there. Guys, he's got a question of the week tonight. I'm telling you what, if you get this within 2 or 3 minutes, you're either cheating or you are super smart. We're going to give away an Evolve rod sleeve. So definitely be hanging around with that. And, of course, back there behind the scenes, Mr. Tim. Hey, that's not Tim. Put it on you, man. I want to see your beautiful face back there, Tim.
Oh, I missed the button.
You missed the wrong button. There you go.
What's up, guys? And y'all better be ready for Kevin's question. He pulled this one from the bottom of the lake.
It is deep. That's right. And so my guest tonight, now we can put the camera on him.
Oops.
This young man, 19-year-old little fishing phenom right there, Mr. Buddy Benson. He just finished 4th at the BFL All-American. And I tell you what, this kind of means a lot to me, because this young man was also my quarterback when he was like 9 and 10 years old right there. So he has seen the worst of me, I promise you. And I'm taking full credit for all the success that he is going to have in the future with fishing, because I prepared him mentally for the challenges right there. So if he can put up with me. So, buddy, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You doing
Pumped
good?
to be here.
Pumped to be here. Not nervous?
No.
Good. You better not be. Let me go ahead and address in the comment section. Big Al has brought his lady from the 80s of the week, and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Excellent choice, Al.
Excellent choice. Now, do you know Michelle Pfeiffer?
I do not.
You do not?
No.
You need to. You definitely need to. So, Big Al, that's an excellent choice. I cannot dispute Michelle Pfeiffer. Wasn't she like Batgirl or something, or Catwoman in one of them Batman movies?
Catwoman, I believe.
Catwoman.
And then what's the other one?
It doesn't.
Halle Berry did it.
Yeah, but Halle Berry is another one. But Michelle Pfeiffer, that's skin tight. I'm telling you what, there is good. Robert Robleski comes back with Demi Moore. Hey, can't go wrong there. So, Big Al, we appreciate you and the NPFL guys, especially when you give us such fine selections as you did tonight. So, what's up, Peter W? Been a while since you've been able to tune in. Glad you're back. Look at that, Big Al. RW is a good one right there. So, hey, let's talk about summertime bass fishing with this kid. And we're going to first start off. We're going to recap his tournament from last weekend on Cherokee Lake.
Yep.
And and got the 4th place finish. So not what you wanted, but still.
Yeah, no, I was looking for a little more, but can't be mad with a 4th place finish in that big of a tournament. And it's hard enough to get there, but it's definitely, it's a good tournament.
Yeah, well, you're going to be there next year again, so you'll be back.
No, I mean, we're hoping.
Oh, no, you're going to be there. What does it actually take to qualify for that tournament?
You can either make it through a regional or a wild card. I made it through the wild card, which is it's one tournament once a year. You don't really know when it's or where it's going to be until like 2 months before it. It's a cool tournament. You got to make the top 5 in that tournament to make it to
Where was that at this year?
It was on Pickwick.
On Pickwick.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you do on Pickwick? Did you win it?
I won that tournament on Pickwick. Yes.
All right. So how did you win it? What was the pattern on Pickwick?
Then it was November. It was the fish were moving out deep, and I found a school of smallmouth out on a rock pile and caught every fish I weighed off one spot. It was pretty magical.
Pretty magical.
Yeah.
All right.
Crazy.
So listen, I'm gonna get some juice out of you. What'd you catch it on?
I got all them on a Demiki rig with just a Z2.
Okay, there you go. So, good evening, Doug Phillips, and all that. So do you have to, since you fished it this year, do you still have to go through the requalifying process next year?
Yes. Yeah.
So you got to either win a regional or finish so high in the region?
Yep. You either got to finish in a top 6 in a regional or a top 6 in a wild card.
In the wild card.
Yeah. And I think there's 4 or 5 regionals.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So what's really cool about that BFL, Emil Wagner won it last year. Local young hammer Paul Marks Jr. won it this year, so congratulations out there to him. Matt McConnell, another local guy, finished 2nd. Buddy finished 4th. It's really cool to see these North Georgia anglers get in there and do so well. And Buddy's only 19, so I'm telling you what, he's going to be holding that trophy. I'm absolutely convinced of it very soon. And what would it mean to you to win that tournament?
It'd be pretty cool for sure, especially after watching Emil and Paul hold it up the last 2 years. It would just make it that much better for sure. But yeah, it would be crazy.
And if you win that tournament, not only do you get a very nice hefty check that you get to hold up, you also get to fish the Red Crest.
Yeah, and that's huge too.
Yeah, where's the Red Crest going to be? Have they announced where it's going to be? Where Paul's going to go this year?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, I remember Emil going to fishing, but
Emil did real good in his too.
He did, and we're gonna watch you fish that. So, guys, get ready with your question and comments right now. Father Time is in the house. Fred Ashcraft said so. Yes, Father Time is here. He was actually here last week, but we had 5 people, so it was kind of hard. But we've got his beautiful face.
He was back here with me.
He was back there tonight. So let's talk summertime bass fishing. I know Lake Lanier is the lake that runs the ship around here, but basically all these highland reservoirs.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with the obvious.
Yeah.
So what is the obvious choice right now for Lake Lanier and similar lakes?
Just points and humps, running brush, moving fast with a topwater and a fluke and swim bait and stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's say we're going to go topwater. What's your favorite way to attack these bass on topwater?
Some of my go-tos are probably a shower blow, a fluke, and probably just a Seville.
A Seville?
Seville.
Which one? Like Seville. If you pull up to a brush pile, what are you starting off with of those 3?
Just depends on the day, but cloudy day with a lot of wind, probably a Seville. If it's slick with sunny with a little wind, probably a fluke or a topwater. I like a topwater when the sun's out. But anytime it's real overcast with a wind, I love a swim bait.
You love the Seville and all that?
Any lake in the area.
Now I want to ask this because I know a lot of guys talk about this when they come in the shop. Do you take your back hook on your Seville and change it out to a feathered treble?
Yeah, I do a lot of the times, yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think? What's the difference in that for somebody that might be like, why are they doing that?
I don't know, honestly. It's just something.
You have no.
My dad, just how he always just kind of taught me how to throw it.
And that was it?
That's how I've thrown it.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you swim it fast all the way back, or do you do the swim, kill? I mean, how do you pattern it? How do you decide which way you're going to throw it?
Really depends on the day, but yeah, I mean, I like to burn it and kill it. It's probably my go-to.
And how do you determine that? I mean, you let the fish tell you?
Yeah, I mean, if they're biting really good, I like to burn it more. If they're not as aggressive, you can kind of slow it down and see what they're liking. Okay, and is that bite something that goes on all throughout the day, or do you kind of do it early, or do you do it midday? Or No, I mean, you can do it all day. Definitely, yeah.
South end or north end of the Lanier right now, which is better for it?
I mean, if you're after big ones, definitely the south end. But numbers, you can get up the lake and catch a bunch of fish for sure.
All right, so Big Al, I want to pull Big Al's comment up right there. What was the go-to play when Buddy was quarterback to get a first down? Now,
24 drive.
He will tell you that. Seriously, when the game would start, I would send Buddy in the offense out, and I would say, you got to run one play until you score, and you're not allowed to run another play. And what was it?
24 drive.
24 drive. Hit the 4-hole with the 2-back right on the outside of the tackle, and they would run it over and over until they scored a touchdown. So we actually talked about that before the show. I was telling the guys, and I said, Buddy, what was that play? And you're 19 now, and so you were 9 and 10 back then.
Yeah.
He still remembers it. So I pounded that one in the head solid. Listen, I played old school power football. We didn't do none of that fancy stuff. We just ran over you. And definitely. We'd run the dives and the counters and all that, but we went right up the middle. And then we had this little fast kid, Braden.
Yeah, Braden Hubbard.
And then he could outrun everybody in the NFL right now. He was that fast. So middle, outside. So just like fishing, we had a strategy. I know a lot of guys come in here. Let's say on the Seville bite. A lot of guys will come in here and they're like, I can't catch a fish on a Seville. And I'm like, well, and I try to give them what you guys teach and all that. I'm like, well, you throw it, you try to pull it. Yeah. You know, what are some of the things you think guys are doing wrong when fishing a Seville that you've seen?
It definitely can be about picking the right day to pick it up for sure. Because like I said, if you go out there on a slick, sunny day, the chances you catching fish on a Seville is not very good at all. And you go out there on a day that it's raining or really nasty out, and that's a day you're going to want to pick up that, and you'll think catch them. The
conditions, guys are throwing it in the wrong conditions?
Yeah, that or the wrong time of the year, because sometimes the swim bait, the summertime can be not as effective as the fall time. I really like a swim bait during the fall versus the summertime. I like topwater more in the summer, but it really, like I said, depends on the day. If you get out there on a rainy day in the summertime, then I love a swim bait.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. So let's transition from the Seville, because Seville is actually pretty simple. Right. There's really not much to it.
Right.
What do you throw it on? Let me ask that. As far as your setup.
Like a 7.3 medium or medium heavy with 15-pound lines, what I normally throw it on.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Clint Bartlett, what's up, fellas? Tuning in from Atlanta, nightmare of an airport. Busiest airport out there in the world. Yeah, so definitely stay safe. I hate going to the airport in Atlanta. So, but appreciate you watching this Saturday night. Let's transition with that to the fluke. Now, we're talking the fluke. We're not getting in the deep water. We're talking weightless fluke right now.
Yeah.
Nose hook or Texas rig? Or do you do one of these fancy setups?
I mean, I will run a cover shot hook with my fluke a little bit, but the go-to is just a 5/0 worm hook. That's what I throw it 90% of the time on. If they're nipping at it bad, I will go to a cover shot just because you have that hook sticking out. And a lot of them fish that come up and swipe at it or just are barely hitting it, a lot of times you'll get with that. But if they're eating it good, I just 5/0 worm hook.
Okay, and so, again, you just targeting brush piles or points. What, like when you go, let's say you're going in the morning. What is Buddy Benson's first start? Not your exact location, but what are you going to start on? You going to start on brush or points or what?
Yeah, I mean, I like to start my day a lot of times where there might be, like, I know of 5 or 6 piles close to where I can, instead of like idling to a spot or getting up on pad and running, I'd like to just get there and be able to jump from brush pile to brush pile, whether it's a point 100 yards away or just a big stretch of bank that's got 4 or 5 brush piles down it. But I'd rather start my morning on something like that to really get an idea of what's going on, what they're doing, than just trying to run one particular brush pile on points.
Okay. I know a lot of guys, when they're throwing a fluke, kind of like Ryan, one of the things that he did, he always used a barrel swivel. Do you do anything like that?
I do the line twist.
You do, because
that's just old school.
Just old school. And one of the reasons, though, he likes to do it, it was also to keep the nose of the fluke down a little bit, too. He always said that little bit of weight.
If you keep the hook out, it will dive. And if you keep the hook in, it won't.
Okay.
It stays up.
Makes sense. I mean, you guys are the experts.
Keep the eye of the hook out. It'll dive for you.
It'll dive for you. What are you throwing your fluke on?
It depends. I do throw one with a swivel a lot, and I'll throw that on a bait caster. But a lot of times I'll just throw it on a 7-1 medium heavy spinning rod.
Okay.
10-pound braided, 10-pound leader.
All right. So Karsten Miller wants to know, what do you look for when throwing the fluke?
Just any brush or timber. Lanier don't have a bunch of standing timber, but some of the surrounding lakes, he's got a lot of timber, and I love throwing a fluke around timber and stuff. But anything that's up off the bottom that them fish can set on and see your fluke coming, because if fish is on the bottom, more than likely it ain't going to see your fluke coming. So
now, again, I'm sure you being young, forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
You use it.
No, 100%. I'm watching all of them eat my bait.
Yeah. I know you can fish without it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were catching the same fish on the same exact points that had the same exact brush piles on them before live scope, same baits and everything. So, I mean, yeah, live scope helps a lot, and it's fun to watch them come up and eat, but you can do it without it for sure.
Yeah. Well, how has it changed the way you fish?
It's definitely changed a lot, because, I mean, I'll pull up to some brush piles and never make a cast if they're not sitting there right, versus if I didn't have it, I would sit there and throw around and not catch anything. But still, I mean, even without, we didn't have live scope, we were still moving a bunch, moving fast. But I would say definitely with live scope, we're moving a lot more than we were.
Now, when we had like a meal on and some of the other guys, he was a running gunner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you ever how about this, on a typical tournament day, how many spots do you hit?
This time of the year, I'm not real sure, but at least 100.
In a given 8-hour
at least 70, I would say.
Really?
At very least, yeah.
So what causes you to come up on a spot and not make a cast?
Fish not set. Well, it depends. But like right now, with how good the fishing is, like I'm not slowing down to throw a drop shot or a jig or something, just because 9 out of 10 times you catch one on that, it's going to be smaller than when you catch one on a 6-inch cane walker or something of that nature.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, staying on the go, it seems like.
So you kind of you started to say something about the way the fish were positioned.
Yeah.
So what's the wrong position?
If they're buried in the brush a lot of times, but there is ways you can get them to bite when they're buried in the brush. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times if I'm running points with a fluke or a topwater and I pull up and they're buried in the brush, no, I won't.
You won't even waste time with it. Okay, that's interesting. Fred Ashcraft wants to know, what's y'all's thought of the color Carolina Chrome? So I'm not familiar with that as much.
Yeah.
What
color?
What bait is that on? Is it a particular bait, or is that just a color across many of them?
I'm assuming he's talking about a fluke. But
a fluke, the Carolina Chrome?
Yeah.
Is that a Zoom color?
Yeah.
Why did I know that? I carry Zoom flukes.
I didn't know it either.
Yeah. So, but okay, what's your favorite color fluke that's not your juice number one? Because I know I don't want you to tell your secret, but
yeah, no, I mean, I like just a straight white one, or Crazy Chrome's a really good one too if the sun's out.
I do have Crazy Chrome.
Yeah.
Now, how about this? When you go, let's just say in a given morning before the sun gets up and you're throwing a fluke, you're going to start off with a white?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with a white.
You're going to start off with a white or a pearl.
Throw a white.
And then generally about what time do you switch? Like 10 o'clock, sun gets up a little bit over the trees?
9, 10 o'clock.
Is there ever, okay, how about this? What if they're biting the white?
Then
and you stay with it all day? You never change? 100%. Okay. Michael Temples wants to know, how can you tell, and we kind of mentioned this a little bit, but let's go over this again. How can you tell looking at live scope if the fish are not set up right? And I will say this, I fished against Michael and all that, good guy, and he's got the live scope, and he's really learned how to use it very, very well.
Right.
So to his question, you mentioned in the brush buried.
Yeah.
What are some of the other options that might be like, I don't think these fish are going to play?
So like say you got a brush pile it comes up 10 foot off the bottom and it's 30 foot deep. If those fish are sitting at the top of that brush pile, I mean, you can get them to come up to 20 foot, but it's really not realistic on like a tournament day that like those fish, they're just not in like a feeding mood. If they're laying that low in that brush, they're kind of more or less just trying to lay low and not do much. If you see them where they're like off of that brush pile, maybe 4 or 5 foot, where you can see like where there's a brush pile and then above them's the fish.
Yeah.
That's what you're really like.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, if you throw over that, you're going to get bit most of the time.
And so that's what tells you those fish are probably aggressive.
Right. Those ones are looking for a ball of bait to come over their head so they can come up and eat it.
Makes sense. Now,
Spinning reel or bait caster on your fluke?
Either one. Like I said, sometimes I like to throw a swivel on my fluke, and I'll throw that on a bait caster more. Throw that a lot during like a herring spawn or shad spawn. I like to throw a swivel. But when I'm fishing brush, for the most part, it's just on a spinning rod with 10-pound leader, no swivel, just straight to the hook.
and just because I know they come up, what brand of braid do you use?
I use Suffix.
You like that?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
braid I use.
What about your leader?
I just use Seaguar Tatsu is what I use.
Tatsu.
Mhm.
Okay. On that, a lot of guys come in here and when we have it in stock, they're like, my Lord, at the price.
I know.
But is it worth the money in your opinion?
It is. If you're fishing around rock and stuff, it can be like you got to make sure there's no nicks in it and stuff. But if you got that where there ain't no nicks in your line, it ain't breaking on you.
That
For
good.
sure. It's good line.
That good stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. You can
Well,
winch
you know,
them in.
it's like sticker shock. A lot of people are like, oh goodness.
Well, yeah, I would never spool up my rods with it like a bait caster from the bottom to the top. But
yeah.
leader line,
Yeah.
you
Well,
put a leader on there.
I had a young guy come in here. He just graduated high school, and this was yesterday. Great kid. But he goes, I got a new bait caster, and I spooled it up. I said, well, what'd you put on it? He said, Tots. He said that. He said, and I'm like, he said, yeah. And I'm like, mama's money or what? He goes, no, I bought it, But I was like, okay. And then I kind of told him, I said, a lot of guys just use that for leader.
Yeah.
But he did. He spooled up a whole bait caster with it. So,
yeah.
but hey, you know what? He might need it. Let's see. Elijah Allen. Let's pull up that question for him. Appreciate you, Elijah, watching tonight. Where should I be fishing on Lanier this time of year for spots and largemouth? Let's tackle the largemouth question first. If you were going to go tomorrow specifically to try to catch largemouth this time of year, where would you go?
I would probably get up in the rivers. I really like fishing up the Chestatee River. I live actually about one of the last docks in the river.
Yeah, you do.
So I love fishing up there, fishing for largemouth, throwing a frog and stuff around. So
Throwing a frog.
Yeah, probably a frog or a buzzbait
Would be what you go out to largemouth for right now.
Yep.
Popping frog?
Yeah, I like a popping frog, just a spro, regular size popping frog. Black or like a white shad color, but I normally throw a black one.
Okay. That's interesting because you remember when Rob was on a few weeks ago and he said, we were talking about frog colors. He goes, I throw black, and if they don't hit that, I throw black, then I throw black and all that. So that's interesting. I know a lot of guys like topwater, like black, especially for largemouth and all that. Spots will hit it too, but
oh yeah, no, you'll catch a spot every now and then, but
yeah. So you would go up to Chestatee, all right. Spotted bass are all over the lake, but where's Buddy Benson going to put himself in the best positions?
If it's tournament day, I might fish a little bit above the Browns Bridge, but not much. Definitely below there. Fishing points and humps and stuff this time of the year. Brush.
Why do you think Lake Lanier is so much better on the south end when it comes to big spots?
I think there's still a bunch of big ones up the lake. I just think they average a lot better down there on the south end. Why that is, I'm really not sure. But yeah, it just seems like they average a lot better down there. I've definitely caught a bunch of fish over 4 pounds above the bridge, but you get it in the right ditch or the right brush pile down the lake, and they can be nothing but 4+ pounders.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how you guys catch 20 pounds on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you think, hey, listen, this is what somebody told me. They think that someone that's catching 20 pounds on a Saturday at Lanier is more impressive on the weekend because there's no generation.
Oh, yeah. No, catching 20 pounds on a weekday on Lake Lanier really says nothing. It's not hard.
So how do the fish act different for somebody that's not familiar with it?
For one, it don't affect them as much on Lake Lanier versus like largemouth, but the water, they don't hardly pull as much water on the weekend. So that's a lot to do with it. And then you got boat pressure, them boats riding over brush piles and stuff, that the fish don't like that at all. So obviously there's not as many boats out there. And then there's nobody fishing bass fishing as much during the week as there is on the weekend, so that helps you a lot too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those brush piles, everybody knows them. So
Yeah, you can't hide.
you're just kind of in a
anymore.
rotation.
Yeah. So that's impressive. But Elijah says he's going to be on a kayak. If I'm on a kayak, so I don't get run over. Well, again, put up the chest.
Yeah, go put it up there. And
where would be a good place for him to put in up there? Is
if
Lumpkin
you're in a
too
kayak,
far?
go put in at Lumpkin Boat Ramp. Yeah, you can. There's a bunch of willow trees and stuff up there.
Just lock your doors.
Yeah,
don't
definitely.
keep anything valuable.
Yeah, if you're gonna put in there, definitely don't have anything valuable in your car.
Will Junkin, sorry you haven't called. Been busy with work and kids and sports. It's that time of year, Will. So definitely good to see you guys out here tonight. Back to the fluke a little bit. We kind of mentioned it with topwater. Again, it's a bait that's not really that hard to work. But what are some of the ways you see guys fishing the fluke wrong?
I would say working it too slow.
Too slow.
Yeah.
Really?
A lot of people just throw it out there and barely twitch it back, kind of like if you're going to work a jerk bait in the wintertime. But a lot of times sometimes you'll just steady reel it in as fast as you can reel your handle.
You reel it straight like that, really?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Really? Because I think then so people are fishing too slow.
Yeah.
What makes you decide? Because that's almost like a Seville.
Yeah.
So you just kind of change. You're doing the same thing, but just changing up the bait.
Yeah. Definitely. That's if you put a fluke on and throw it out there, and if you rig it up right, it'll swim back a lot like a Seville or something.
Yeah. So Elijah says, I'm from Lumpkin County, so I couldn't agree more about locking your doors. So, hey, listen, we're in Marble Hill.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's a sad state of affairs that people can't just go fish anymore without the worry of somebody.
Just leave your doors unlocked so they don't have to break.
Leave your doors unlocked and don't carry anything valuable. Absolutely. So, heck yeah, I joined right at the right moment, Will says, because I've been wanting to take my kayak up there on the Chestatee. And so there's a lot of good places. And again, we had a young man in the shop today that's talking about going to Carter's tomorrow in a kayak. Make sure you guys got something on your boat where you on your kayak where you guys can be seen, whether it be a flag or whatever, because we don't want to hear about anybody getting accidentally run over by a boat.
And there's a lot of striper guides that go there and catch stripers. So definitely.
Up the Chestatee? Yeah, so you definitely want to do that. Now, do you ever fish the fluke deep?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get into that as soon as we get done, because we've done the Seville, we've done the fluke, but the top water. Now you mentioned throwing like the pencil popper style baits.
Yeah.
You working them fast this time of year? You working them slow? And if so, or if you do both, what are you seeing on the water that makes you decide how to work it?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you can see, because like a lot of times you'll pull up the brush pile and there could be 30 of them there could be 10. If there's 30 or 40 of them there, I'm not going to let my bait set still where they can see it very good. Because, I mean, if they see it at all, they're going to get competitive and come get after it. If there's only 5 or 10 of them, I might not work it quite as fast as I would if there was 40 or 50 of them there. But that's kind of how I decide on how I'm going to work my bait.
Now, do you buy into the thing that if you catch one fish off a brush pile, that brush pile's burnt?
Yeah, it's burnt for 30 minutes or so for sure.
So what do they do?
I mean, a lot of times when you catch one and you reel it in, they all come and set underneath your boat. So if you set there, they're just going to set underneath your boat. And yeah, I mean, you can drop a drop shot down there and stuff and catch some fish, but you come back in 30 minutes to an hour and they'll be set right back up how they were when you caught that fish. So I don't know. I mean, that's a good answer. I know a lot of guys, especially on Lanier, say they're one and done. Yeah.
Maybe 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah. And yeah, you can double up really easily. Like if the dude with you catches one, you can throw in there and catch one. But once like you get them back and they get down there, they're done for a little while.
Okay. So that seems to be the consensus, don't you think?
Well, for a brush pile, yeah.
Yeah.
But if he's fishing a rock or a hard spot like that, the sooner you can get back in there, the sooner you can catch your second or third fish.
On the rocks and stuff like that.
For sure.
Now, how about this? Because you fish Alatoona a lot. And all the stuff that he's talking about here, we're talking about Lanier, but it'll work on Alatoona.
Yes.
Do the spots act the same way on Alatoona? Can you burn a brush pile like they do on Lanier?
I don't fish that many brush piles.
So you're not?
I'm still a bank beater.
Oh, okay, bank beater. What about you, Tim?
Stubborn.
Yeah, if you catch one off the top of a brush pile, you might as well go make a lap, come back.
Even on Alatoona? Okay, all right. So Michael Temple says, dang, he must be rigging his flukes wrong. I mean, I know that Jimbo likes to nose hook his flukes.
Yeah, very good way to do it.
He does it. Now, do you ever do that at all?
Yeah, I like that in the springtime a lot.
Why? What's the difference? I mean, what makes
I don't
you do
know.
that?
I just when you got a bunch of fish over a brush pile and they're coming up getting competitive over it like that, I have a hard time. My hookup ratio is just not as good with a nose hook as it is with like a big 5/0 worm hook or something like that, where they can really get a hold of it.
I've heard it gives it a little more action though.
Yeah, no, it works really good with just a nose hook. It looks really good.
Now, when we're talking flukes, are we talking your basic fluke, your super fluke, or do you ever even use some of them super fluke magnums?
I don't use the Magnum much, definitely not for a spot, but largemouth and stuff, I've used the big one a couple times for sure.
So do you throw this on a given day, your average, the super fluke or the smaller one?
Just the super fluke.
Do you ever downsize at all? Now we're still talking top water.
Yeah, no, I don't go below that, just the regular size.
The regular size super fluke right there. Peter W wants to know straight shank hook in the fluke.
Yeah, I will go to a straight shank sometimes.
And
just
why?
a 4/0 straight shank. A lot of times if they're nipping at it and stuff, you can put that on and land a few more.
Do you ever dye the tail in any of it?
Yeah, I will every now and then.
Okay.
Dye
So
the tail chartreuse.
okay. Do you believe in the scents?
Yeah, I'm a big scent guy.
Okay. What scent does Buddy Benson like to use?
I'm a big smelly jelly guy, actually.
Smelly jelly.
Yeah.
Are you?
No.
Really?
I know, it's crazy. I talk to some of these like newer dudes that fish, Emil and all these other dudes, and I tell them like I use smelly jelly, and they're just like, "What in the world, smelly jelly?" Like they don't even hardly know what it is.
I don't either. So
Yeah.
So explain to me what smelly jelly is.
It's just it comes in a little container. You can wipe your finger in it, put it all over your bait, or however you want to do it. I like to just like take my scissors and take a little bit of it and throw it in my worm pack.
Yeah.
And mix it together. I'll do that. But
so what is there flavors?
yeah, it's crawfish, shad. There's a bunch of different.
Well, what's your favorite?
I like crawfish a lot.
Yeah, he's lying.
Yeah,
Look at him right there. He's lying. Like he's not going to
Yeah,
tell us.
no, I
on
mean,
that.
no. If I'm throwing a jig or something, crawfish is the one.
I get
on
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
get that. Well, we're talking
He
flukes.
did have that smirk.
I
Look at that.
don't put it on
He had
my
a smirk.
fluke. I don't have enough time during my day to put it on
Look
a
at that.
fluke.
So yeah, it's funny. Yes, Carson Fowler, yum yum. All right. So listen, he's a good boy from a good family. So I got to keep this show PG tonight like that, or else his dad, who I am very good friends with, is going to be giving me a call. So, but so smelly jelly and all that. But do you believe? I mean, like I ask this question every single time, like garlic. Some of the guys in the comment section say it tastes like blood to fish, but I mean seriously, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more of like a confidence thing to me. Like, oh, my bait smells like a crawdad. Like, yeah, it's gonna get a bite.
It's just a confidence thing.
But I will say, when you go smallmouth fishing, it makes a difference for sure. I've seen them on my live scope throw out there. They not even look at your bait. You cover it in smelly jelly, throw it out there, and they'll run down and eat it before it ever hits the bottom.
All right. So if you're out there and you're a representative of Smelly Jelly right here, this is a sponsorship opportunity for you guys because he's the first one that's ever mentioned Smelly Jelly. I mean, what kind of name is, you know what I'm saying?
There'll be one guy out tomorrow looking for it.
Somebody will be going like, yeah, where do they sell it?
They got it at Hammond's.
Hammond's. All right. So there you go. You can go support Tim and the guys over at Hammond's and get your Smelly Jelly. I don't have smelly jelly here. Hell, I didn't even know it existed. But all right, so now we were talking about the top water.
Yeah.
Now pencil poppers. I know you mentioned before the show you like throwing a chug bug.
Yep.
When would you go chug bug versus pencil popper? When would you go say to a spook type bait? Is there certain things that make you say one or the other?
Yeah, definitely like a pencil popper when it's like a lot of wind out there versus a chug bug. Chug bug, if it's a little bit calmer, I love a chug bug. But if it gets real rough out there, it gets hard to work a chug bug versus like a pencil popper or something. And they can just see that pencil popper up there when it's real choppy out.
Mm-hmm.
They can really locate that pencil popper versus a little chug bug going through the waves and stuff. It can be hard.
Yeah. So Alex Purrs, is it Purrs? Did I say that right? I know I'm terrible with people's last names, and I know we've met and all about. I've seen it on dock lights, fish chasing and they're not biting. Dip it in the JJs and bam, fish on.
Yeah.
I just find that crazy because a lot of bass bites are reaction bites.
Yeah.
So the fact it is. So yes, sir. So I said it right. Michael Keeney loves that stuff. Country Sportsman has it also. Hell, I guess I need to get some smelly jelly for the shop.
Will they come with the hats?
Would you quit getting on to me about the hats? We're gonna have
What do you
hats here
think,
at Fish
Tim?
North Georgia one day. I promise. Tim, tell them I got hats ordered.
Hats are on the way. We promise.
Yeah, hats are on
Because
the way.
I need one or two because the ones I got are about rotten.
About rotted.
We're still waiting on China.
I'm trying. We're getting them. We're going to get them right there. So, scent gets you skint.
There was I use an EWG on my fluke. You straight shank or offset?
I'm just an offset.
Okay.
Yep.
There was a couple questions up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you would go to a straight shank though if they were like nipping and kind of
Yeah.
that.
No, I mean, I like a straight shank is to me more of like a July, August when they start getting a little more finicky because they've been fished for a lot. But
Yeah.
this time of the year, I just like a
Just
offset.
straight offset. So there you go. Tim's with the government and he's here to help. That's right. Tim is. Don't you guys be going through Cedartown speeding. Dane Hunter will give you a ticket. Am I right? That's what I've heard.
You're absolutely spot
Dane
on.
Hunter will give
Stay
you
away
a
from
ticket.
that man.
And don't be dropping my name because it ain't going to get you off of nothing right there. So now, what about other topwater baits, like say a buzz bait? You know, do you ever throw, say a Chapo? You know,
Yeah.
I hate that daggum bait,
Yeah.
but I mean, do you ever throw any of those?
Yeah, man, I've had some days on a flopper plopper style bait like that I've done good over brush and stuff like that, but never really thrown a buzz bait. But up shallow, I love
Up
a buzz
shallow,
bait.
so-
Love it. Yeah.
So, but do you start your day off fishing offshore? Do you ever just go shallow and beat the banks?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd like to fish shallow a lot more, but being
Yeah.
realistic and trying to do good in these tournaments, it's just not really realistic to go
Yeah.
beat the bank with a swim jig and a popping frog and do good in some of these big tournaments that are on lakes that I don't have a clue about. It's hard to really figure out where the fish like to be shallow when you only have a couple days to break it down. It's
Okay, well let's talk about that. I'm gonna hit TKR's. Let's say so. Adam says smelly jelly's been around a long time. I like it also. And then TKR, use the smelly jelly on a floating fly. Does seem to make a difference. So you guys up at Carter's and all that like that floating fly. That's hey, listen. Evidently, smelly jelly's the stuff. But I want to ask this question since you brought it up. You fish a lot of tournaments. Where you going to be next week? Would you say you're going to be?
you follow Oklahoma. I
You
leave
follow
Saturday.
Oklahoma.
Yep.
When you get to a lake you've never fished before, how do you break it down?
It can be challenging, but it depends the time of the year. This time of the year, the bass should be offshore. So when I get there, I'll definitely spend my first couple of days just idling, marking stumps and brush piles and trying to find them offshore on hard spots and stuff like that.
Now, in the BFLs and these type, what is it? This is the opens that you're going to fish?
Yeah, Bassmaster Open.
Do they still have like the information rules with those tournaments?
Yeah, no, like our information for that tournament went off like it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So you can't get information.
You
from
can't
that
get
point
information
up
from
until
that
the
point
tournament.
on.
Yep.
But like if I was talking to, let me just ask you this, the gray area in that rule.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in a tackle shop. Me and Tim are talking about Eufaula in Oklahoma.
No.
You're not participating in the conversation,
Yeah.
but I'm telling Tim what I'm catching.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you'd get in trouble for it, but it's definitely kind of like
That's
man,
that gray area right there. You know better?
You should walk away. for
Do you
sure.
walk away?
I mean, I've never really ran in that situation, but yeah, I would definitely probably walk the other direction.
Okay, I'm always curious right there. Clint Bartlett, quit your comments right there. I told you I'm going to be good tonight. Listen, we got vapor lock
No,
almost.
you don't.
Huh?
No, you don't. I'm good.
You're good?
But I like his comment.
You like his
Yeah,
comment?
I
That
do.
might be the new word for it. Smelly jelly. We might use that. So that might be more appropriate.
Yes.
More smelly jelly.
We have a code word now.
Code word. So yeah, so you can go either with the double Y or smelly jelly. All right, so there you go. I'll explain it to you when you're of age. But anyway, yeah, right. He's only 19, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
We
hear
can't
worse.
go there tonight.
Yeah, no, they probably hear worse in first period on their way, than that. How much do you utilize, say, like YouTube and going back and watching tournaments and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've definitely spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos, and about every bass tournament that you can find on YouTube, I've watched it for sure. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from watching stuff.
So you're on YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
So how
definitely.
many of our podcasts have you watched?
I watched a bunch of them. for
Yeah.
No, 100%.
All right. I'm
There's
gonna
that
put you on the
smirk
spot.
again.
There's that smirk. He's lying. I have done figured out when Buddy's not
Look at
telling
him
the
now.
truth.
He's
Look at him. He's like,
No,
yeah, I know.
polygraph.
Huh?
in here.
Polygraph? It is a polygraph. Guys, well, I got a lot of you on too. I was asked to do kind of a special announcement. These are the kind of announcements I don't like doing, but definitely something that needs to be said. I had a gentleman come in today, and he asked me for you guys out there to remember Darren Taylor and Amy Taylor, and to keep them in your prayers, because Darren Taylor was recently diagnosed with cancer, a form of cancer. There is going to be a benefit tournament on Lake Hartwell. He did not know the date, but if you check out the Fish North Georgia group page, when I get a date, I'm sure they'll make a post on it. But again, I hate that C word. Lived through it in my life. It's affected a lot of people and a lot of people that watch this. So again, keep Darren Taylor in your prayers, and of course his wife Amy Taylor as well. So if you end up watching this day, Mr. Taylor, hey, we're thinking about you, buddy. So and anytime you guys have something like that you need us to say to try to get the word out on something, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to throw it out there. But I know we got a lot of great viewers out there, and if you are of the praying type, throw them prayers up, and if not, just keep them in your thoughts. So I heard Buddy is offering charter fishing at the lake now, so he is doing some guiding.
Yes.
Now, ex-coaches are free, correct?
Yep.
That's right. I got a free trip. I'm gonna take him up on that. So,
Yeah.
You know what? Let me ask you this, and we're gonna get back to the fishing, guys. I promise you. A lot of guides I hear complain. Not any particular ones. I don't want nobody mad at Fish North Georgia. I just hear it. And some of it could be hearsay, that, well, these young kids now, they fish tournaments, they all think they're guides and all that. You know, what do you think about that when you hear somebody say that?
I don't know. A lot of these people are not really to put like name on anybody, but there is a lot of people that hate on the young people coming up around here. And I don't know. I mean, if you look at like JJ and some of the other dudes that were once the young guns, it was the same thing with them. They were best at 2D and mapping and that whole situation. So I don't know.
Well, I think they're full of crap anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it is something, and it is something that is being said to with young guys in tournaments.
Yeah.
You guys, that's why we love the TAA, and I can't wait when we get to announce the next one. But, these guys can't catch fish without forward-facing sonar and all that.
Yeah, no, you hear it a lot for sure.
Well, okay, as a 19-year-old, how's that make you feel?
It don't really bother me, honestly. I don't know. It don't bother me. If they quit live scope tomorrow, I would still be bass fishing every day.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Well, you've been fishing and hunting since you could walk.
Yeah. No, 100%. I was fishing long before live scope.
It should make a bit of difference, simply because if he doesn't catch fish with a partner out there, a paying client, he's not going to be in business very long.
100%.
So
it's
what
capitalism.
doesn't make to anybody.
Yeah. I've said that, and that was one of my complaints that got me in trouble with a lot of people. Is like, if you're running a business and you're not any good at it, you're going to go out of business.
100%.
And if you are a guide and you can keep them on fish and have them a good time and teach them something, you're going to stay in business.
No, 100%.
It's a 38,000 acre lake.
Yeah.
There's room for everybody.
And there's a lot of personality involved in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Let's say you get an old Crodger like Kevin on the boat.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he's like, man, I expected to catch fish and all that. I mean, what are you going to say? You got to be prepared for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely fishing. You're going to have days you don't catch them that good, but I mean, it's fishing. Weather and stuff like that depends on everything. So you can be smashing them one day, go out the next day and not be catching them because the weather's different or the wind's blowing a different direction or anything. This
is why I yelled at you when you were young.
Yeah, no, you got me right.
I'm preparing you for this. That's what I'm trying to say. So with the live scope though, has it changed? You haven't always fished with it, of course, but has it changed the way you approach things as far as like in the tournaments, like your mentality?
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely, just because in my opinion, you kind of see what's going on underneath the water before you didn't really know what was going on down there.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely helps you make decisions a lot easier. It seems like in tournaments, kind of just being able to see what's going on.
Yeah. So what was the biggest thing you learned though? Because I'll say this, I talked to my cousin who got it.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said was he did not realize how much bass moved. People think they're just sitting on a point.
Oh,
yeah. What did you learn from it when you first got it?
Yeah, I mean, you learned a bunch because, like Lake Lanier, a lot of times when you pull up to a brush pond, they didn't bite. You didn't really know why they didn't bite. A lot of times now you pull up and they don't bite. It's because there's just no fish there at the moment. They're off in the middle of the lake chasing bait. And
I'm on that spot.
Yeah, before
I'm on that spot often.
Yeah,
I'm on the bank.
You're on. Yeah, I'm serious. So, okay, how about this? Let's say you pull up to a brush pile. You throw a top water across it.
Yeah.
The fish are staged like you said.
Yeah.
But they only come up a few feet. They don't
Yeah.
commit to coming all the way up.
Right.
What's your next bait to go at them? Come on, buddy. You
It
can,
depends, but say I started off with a top water, like a pencil popper or shower blow or something like that. My next would be to throw a fluke in there or swim bait. Give them another option, and then a lot of times I'll give them 2 or 3 options. If they don't like that, I'm out of there.
okay, so you don't go after that fish with a jerk bait or anything?
No.
You're just like, oh, heck with them.
Yeah, I mean sometimes, but I'll typically give them 2 to 3 options, and then if that don't work, I'll come back to them. If there's a bunch of fish there, I'll come back to them an hour or 2 later and see if it's just not a timing thing.
Timing thing like that.
Yeah.
All right, so I know Clint's having to get on his
Clint's
Plane.
in a tight spot tonight.
he's in a tight spot tonight. So you guys might actually win other than Clint for that Evolve rod sleeve with the question of the week in 15 minutes. So if you pull the school, you get out of there. And that's basically kind of, we were talking about that earlier. If you catch one and you do that, I was just curious with that, because I know a lot of guys they'll start off up a water column.
Yeah.
If the fish are coming up but not committing, they'll go down with a jerk bait or something like that.
Yeah.
Would you rather go down with if that situation arose, would you go down with a jerk bait or something like a Kitech?
Yeah, I like a Kitech or an underspin, superfish underspin.
Superfish.
Yeah, when it gets tough on Lanier in the summertime, it's definitely my go-to. Is
Really, superfish.
Yep, superfish underspin.
Really,
3/8 ounce.
3/8 ounce. So what
Yeah.
makes that underspin so special?
Just run straight. You can throw it out there and burn it in as hard as you want. It's going to come back
Okay.
straight. Yeah.
Superfish. All right, we hadn't heard that, and that's the first time that name's
You have to
been
get
dropped.
some of those.
I have to get some superfish. You know where I can get some superfish at for the store? So you hook-
Hammond's or hit up Kevin. He'll bring you some.
Kevin. All right, so that's what we need to do right there. So, I had a question, and also my old brain went blank. What kind of swimmy on that underspin?
I just like a Fluke Junior, just a straight tail Fluke Junior.
Okay. All right. Now we're kind of getting into the deep water game a little bit.
Yeah.
We're getting it. So brush pile going deep or timber in the summertime.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of these fish actually get out into that timber or,
No, a lot of them in the summertime, I feel like our biggest spots get out into the timber.
the
in
biggest ones?
Yeah. When it gets to July and August, I feel like our biggest ones definitely get in the timber. Now there's still a bunch of big ones in the brush, but I think a majority of our big ones get down in that deeper water, that 30 to 40 foot.
Okay. All right. So let me ask.
Largemouth. They
Yeah.
get the timber either?
I mean, we'll catch we'll catch a lot out of brush and timber, but for the most part, I think a good bit of our largemouth stay around the bank and in the marinas and stuff like that.
Okay. This is an interesting question from TKR right there. And this is something that is very true because, like, what's that big cat? Not the big cat. The cat that wears the toboggan that fishes out in Texas. Is it Josh Jones?
Josh Jones, yeah.
Okay. He started off crappie fishing,
Right.
and that's where LiveScope got its start.
Yeah.
What was your starting point when you first got LiveScope? Now, was it just straight bass fishing? Or
Yeah, no, it was straight bass fishing.
Okay.
Kind of just started hearing about it. We got one, and at first I was like, this is crazy. There ain't no way anybody's winning a tournament because of this one fish finder. And then the more I started using it, the more I realized, like, yeah, this is going to be the deal.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of when it really started popping off, and
Yeah.
it's became the deal for sure.
Well, your dad come in here and we had a conversation one time, and he said, "Buddy loves that thing."
Yeah, it's cool for sure.
It's cool. Now, the first one you had, what was it?
It was just a Garmin. I don't know what model it was,
But it was a Garmin.
Yeah, it was a Garmin. My first one was a Garmin. What I'm running now is still a Garmin.
Okay. Fred wants to know when to use a split tail versus a paddle tail.
I
That is a good
I
question.
like a paddle tail more in the wintertime when it's colder. Just give it more movement, but summer months I really like a straight tail.
Really?
Yeah.
And you think, I mean, why? Just why is that less amount of movement more important in the summer? I told you I was going to ask you some tough questions.
No, I think a lot of times in bait fish, they run straight. A heron runs straight. It really does. It runs dead straight. So I just think it's really natural. That's a really natural presentation, is just a straight tail fluke reeling like that. And
Okay.
paddle tail, I mean, it is natural, but bait fish don't kick like that when it's swimming.
Okay. All right, there you go. I've never heard nobody say that. So that makes sense, though. Derek White. What's up, Derek? Have you noticed more pressure on brush piles since forward facing?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, there was before people had no idea what we were doing when we were catching them out of brush and stuff. Which, not to throw my name like I was the one that started that at all, because he was probably one of the ones that started it.
Yeah.
But yeah, before nobody knew what was going on, when LiveScope came out, it definitely made it where everybody. I mean, you get LiveScope and it's not rocket science. You point it over a point and there's 50 of them there.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: have you ever sank brush?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay. All
yeah.
right. So I knew the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
But do you sink it as much and as often now, knowing that everybody can find it, than you used to? Have you noticed a change in that?
No, I don't waste my time as much as we did 3 to 4 years ago, but we still put out a fair share of it. Yeah. Here in Hartwell. Yeah.
Here and where?
Hartwell.
Hartwell. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. So I think now Jason Johnson made a comment after the Touring Anglers Association when you couldn't use the forward-facing sonar because he had to use 2D.
Right.
Now, in his Facebook post, he said that he thinks, and Jason, if you're watching this and I say this wrong, I apologize, that the fish now are more sensitive, more scattered, or, they're quick to run when you're using forward-facing sonar as opposed to if you go over them with 2D. Have you noticed anything like that? Like if you go 2D, you still can drop straight down.
I mean, people are they're starting to say like they can feel the ping off of LiveScope. I don't believe that personally at all.
Yeah.
That they can feel that. But I mean, I definitely think if you have all your LiveScope, your 2D and all that, yeah, I mean, you got a lot going on
yeah,
it's making a lot of noise. Like they can hear it for sure. Like if you get one coming close to the boat, they can hear your LiveScope, but I don't think they can like when you're scanning and you see one at 90 feet, I don't think it feels your transducer hitting it, which some people feel. They say they feel the ping off of it.
Yeah. And I now remember what he said.
Yeah.
He said that now you have to cast to the brush using forward-facing sonar. You can't pull up on them. Whereas if you're just using 2D, because of the difference in the ping, you can still drop down on that.
Right.
I think that was what he was saying.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you approach a brush pile, do you ever do like the old school drop shot right on top of them, or are you casting?
Yeah, no, it's definitely the summer. As it gets tougher during the summer, you can get on top of those fish and drop on them with a drop shot, and that's very, very effective. And yeah, he was very known for that.
Oh,
when he was winning.
I'm glad he finally got back out on the water.
Yeah, no, I was happy to see him. Even he got in a Barnes tournament. I was happy to see some of those dudes.
He's a good dude.
Throwing their name in the hat.
He is a good dude. Big fella.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know, though, that me and him got the same, like, inseam? Like, I'm 5'7", he's like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is just a big torso guy, but we got, like, the same inseam on our pants. I used to work for them at Dawson Heating and Air, so, yeah, so I give him a hard time with that. Clint Bartlett's got a good question. If you fish 10 brush piles and all the fish just follow your bait, what's your next move?
I mean, definitely switch up your bait for sure. But if you were throwing all like stuff on top and stuff like that, I would move to a fish head or a spy bait or something like that over the brush, or maybe a drop shot or something if you're just trying to catch some fish.
Yeah.
But
spy bait, you brought that up. We don't talk about spy baits often. They were really hot a few years ago. Now, not so much, but people still do fish with them.
Yeah.
What's your experience with a spy bait, and do you like it?
Yeah, I like throwing a spy bait.
Even now.
Yeah, it catches the big ones. It definitely, a couple years ago, it popped off and was a big thing. It kind of slowed off. But
yeah.
I have my times I throw it a lot.
It's like that. So what situation would you throw a spy bait in?
Same kind of way. If it gets tougher in the summertime, those fish don't want to commit to anything on top or like really get going. You can slow roll that spy bait over them and catch a bunch of fish doing that.
Okay, so let's say the fish you're fishing a 30-foot bottom brush pile. The fish are kind of staged up at about 20.
Yeah.
And you're going to go after them with a spy bait. Are you bringing it across them at like 15 or 18? Are you down closer to them? How far can you actually pull them?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be like on the same level as them, but just right above their head, a foot or two.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You want to do your question of the week right now?
We can get it ready.
We can do that. So, guys, all right. So it is now time for the Kevin Thornton impossible question of the week. Now, this has 3 answers. Okay. Again, we say it every week. If you only know 2 of them, don't answer 2, because if those 2 are right, somebody's watching. Somebody's watching, and they're going to use your answers to win this thing. And Clint Bartlett, like, if you get this quick, if anybody gets this quick, I am going to be absolutely shocked. But you're going to get an Evolve rod sleeve, and Kevin's going to read the question 2 times. Now, once he has read it 2 times, at that point, him and Tim are going to be watching in the comment sections, and Buddy and I are going to continue our conversation. So, are you ready, Father Time?
I'm ready.
All right, get it close to that mic and do it loud and clear so nobody can fuss about it.
Clint, my money's on you, bud. All right, the question. Who caught the very first bass in BASS event history? What lake was the event held on, and what horsepower was being used?
That's
on
his
that
motor.
boat?
Yeah. Say it again.
No.
One more time.
Who caught the very first bass in BASS event history? What lake was the event held on, and what horsepower was he using on his boat? Not the brand of the motor, what horsepower?
If you guys
Come
get
on,
that
Clint.
quick, we're going to just quit doing this, and we're just going to have a woman in a bikini come out here and just hold up signs during this. So, again, yeah, so there you go. Very first bass in BASS event history, not the classic event. Who was it? No, excuse me. What lake was it on?
And what horsepower?
And what horsepower was the motor of the boat he was driving?
Clint Bartlett is on the tarmac at Atlanta Airport
Trying to
probably
do this?
peeing in the peeing
Listen,
on it right now.
And listen, and somebody's sitting beside him watching him go like, what are you doing? Because he's probably just like Googling everything. So if you got, I tell you what, no, TKR, we don't need the name of the angler. Or do we?
Yes.
Yeah. So Bill Dance is it. That is one. No.
That's one of the answers.
Right.
It's the angler, the lake, and the horsepower.
The hell, I'm probably
Angler,
confusing
lake, and
people with that. I'll
horsepower.
shut up. All right. So you guys keep jumping in on that, and
We'll watch it.
you'll watch it. Okay. I still want to play on this Deepwater Finesse game. Are you watching the answers
Yeah.
too? You get caught up right
Yeah.
here watching in the comment section. Brody Lindsay.
Oh,
Yep, that's not it. Did Ray Scott ever actually fish any of the events? Just out of curiosity?
no, not that I know of.
Not that you know.
No.
Oh, so Landrum.
I think
There it
we
is.
got
Landrum 45 got it.
Yep.
Okay, so the answer is Bill Dance, Beaver Lake, 60 horse.
1967.
All right, Landrum. Just for me, how did you figure out what horsepower he
No
was
joke.
using on that boat?
He Googled it.
Is it a Googleable, whatever it is? I mean,
Yeah,
you
if
can-
you're looking for it, you can Google it. You can find everything.
he said Google. He said Google. Wi-Fi is slow. Clint Bartlett's got an excuse tonight. So anyway, Landrum 45. I think you have won before, but again, just to be safe, send me your address on Messenger straight to me at Danny Pruitt, and I will put the Evolve rod sleeve in the mail tomorrow. So I honestly thought that was going to go a while. I really thought the
Well,
horsepower
you're
thing would
getting on
get.
me for getting hard ones. I'll
No,
come back next week with one.
come back. But I thought that was hard. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it was hard for us.
Yeah, because I'm kind of slow on that stuff. It was the largest outboard at that time. Ken Burke, no wonder wasn't born yet. Exactly, dude. So like, and hell, we
It
know
was the
you
only
wasn't born.
60 horsepower in the field, and he got to his spot before the other boats even got to him. And he caught his first fish on his first cast.
Okay, what bait was he using?
He didn't say.
No, that's my question to you.
I'll have to Google it.
I get it like that. So again, Landrum, congratulations on that. I really thought the horsepower thing was going to throw you guys off. I'm a little disappointed in that. I was looking forward to making fun of you guys some.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Deepwater Finesse fishing. Here's my next question. Ball head versus underspin. Which do you like better? And if you use both of them, what situation do you use each particular bait as far as the jig head?
Yeah. I mean, I like a ball head more. Like, I like a fish head more when they're on the bottom, like in the wintertime. If I'm catching them on a fish head, it's because they're glued to the bottom.
Yeah.
If I'm catching them on a ball head, most of the time they're suspended. The fish are suspended.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is it true that the tungsten ball heads show up on live
Yeah.
better than a
Yeah.
lead?
Mm-hmm.
Is it real? Is it?
Yeah, tungsten will definitely show up better.
Is it just a ping? I mean, just brighter?
Yeah, I think
return?
it just has it just got something a little bit harder to ping off of.
It's
Then
more
that-
dense.
Yeah,
more dense.
than
Okay,
lead.
so what about that stuff that a lot of companies are coming out, kind of like your smelly jelly?
Yeah,
for-
it's
does it work?
Yeah, it worked for sure.
And what is in it that makes it work? I mean, is it?
I'm not sure what's in it, but I've used it. It works. Yeah.
It does work.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Sometimes it bait pop maybe.
Bait
Yeah,
pop is
Bait
one
Pop.
brand.
Yeah.
Is one brand. I know some of the manufacturers are they're putting coatings and stuff on them now or something that supposedly helps, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So AI says, oh, scratch fishing. Thank you for this. Artificial intelligence says Bill caught that fish on a Rebel Popar topwater lure. I'll be doggone. You can Google anything these days.
Yep.
Would you have guessed a Rebel Popar though?
No,
I mean,
I'd have thought a worm myself.
thought a worm. So that's what Clint Bartlett said. Curly tail worm. Will Junkin says it was on a blue flip tail worm. So you guys are going to have to argue that out in the comment section. Clint Bartlett, have a safe flight, buddy. We appreciate you watching. So timber, big fish, somebody like me who is not as good at fishing as you are.
Yeah.
What's the best way for me to go out there and target those fish?
Yeah. I mean, if you got a live scope, definitely just search around and find on main lake points, main lake humps and stuff is where you're going to locate a lot of that stuff. But definitely just try and get you a little milk run of them, whether it's 10 spots or 100 spots. And if there's fish on them, you can just kind of rotate them one after another. And that's the best way to do it for sure.
What would be the best bait for somebody that's not, say, upper tournament experience? Say your weekend warrior.
Yeah.
To go out and try to catch some fish on the timber. What's
definitely
the best
all
baits?
throughout the summer, a drop shot around the timber and brush is super hard to beat for numbers and size. You can catch some really big ones, especially as it gets hotter and hotter on a drop shot out there in that 35, 40 foot of water. You can catch some really, really big ones.
Now, are you hovering it up above the timber or are you going down in it?
Yeah, going down in it.
All the way to the bottom?
Yep.
Through the timber?
Mm-hmm. With a drop shot, yeah. You can hover over them with a Demiki and stuff, but I like dropping straight on them with a drop shot when it gets tough like that.
What's your favorite drop shot bait?
Just a 6-inch Zoom worm, just rainbow or morning dawn.
Zoom,
Yep.
a big worm. You don't do the 4.5, the smaller ones? You like
That's
the
like
6
a
inch?
5.5, 6-inch worm, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Stone Cold Steve D. I've been noticing small spots are hitting my mushroom Ned rigs and causing injury to the gills to remove the hooks. Is there a better way to use Ned rigs or remove the hooks so that you can keep or eat the smaller ones? My question to you is this: do you use a weedless version or are you using the one that's exposed? I pour the weedless version here. I like it. Sometimes I throw a shaky head on it, but I don't know that would make a difference because they're small. Do you think maybe Kevin, that's what he's talking about, that he's got the exposed hook out? Possibly.
I would think that has to be the reason why.
They inhale
At the same
it.
time, they inhale it because it's a small bait.
Yeah.
If you don't get it right away, they're gonna get it down.
Yeah, and that's even with any bait, but you gotta be quick.
Yeah.
But I think those exposed
You
hooks.
can do that with a shaky head real easy too.
You
if you're
can.
not paying attention.
You can, but I would think with an exposed hook that makes it even.
Yeah.
I mean, your hookups are probably better, but scratch fishing. Do you look on the bottom right where the timber starts?
Yeah. Yeah, where a lot of times they'll be just kind of hanging out in the timber. A lot of times you won't even see them because they'll be hugging the timber or the brush pile.
Yeah.
And when you throw that drop shot down there, you'll see them kind of either shoot up out of the timber and go down towards it, or you'll see them on the bottom kind of shoot over towards it.
Right.
But yeah, you'll see them moving around when you put that bait down in there.
Kevin, you look ravishing in orange tonight. He's still on the tarmac. That's Atlanta for you. Always delays and everything. So,
Thank you, Clint.
Yeah, thank you, Clint. That's right. Do you ever when the timber starts? So on Lake Lanier, all the timber was cut at a certain. What is that?
A lot of our timber's cut down and laid over, and it's not the best timber. Now there is some places that it's standing and it's beautiful, but places like Hartwell, there is timber everywhere, and it's fish are in it.
And you still take that drop shot straight down through it.
Yeah.
Now, fluorocarbon line.
Yep. Yeah, 10-pound braid to like an 8-pound leader.
Okay.
Fluoro leader.
You don't have any problems getting hung or nicked up and all that timber and anything?
No, I mean, you definitely got to fight them right if they get you hung up in it. You will break off some fish, but that's kind of part of the game.
Okay. So as far as the feel of the bite on a drop shot, I mean, and how you fight a fish out of timber, is there any secrets to help the guys out to get them out of that timber?
I mean, you definitely want to get them up and get them coming. And then once you kind of get them up where you feel like they're out of that timber, you can slow it down and fight them. But,
so you're forcing them.
Yeah, when you first hook them, you want to get them up out of there, get them coming, and then you can lay off of them.
Is there a secret to that other than just reeling fast and raising your
No,
rod up?
you just want to get them up.
You just want to get
as
them
quick
up
as you can. Yeah.
like that. Big old spinnerbait in the timber on Hartwell is some fire.
Oh yeah.
Now, do you ever throw a spinnerbait in the summertime? I just got to ask that question.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'll throw a spinnerbait.
Like when and where?
They will eat it over a brush pile, burning it.
I'm glad he said that. I had a thought. I was sitting there thinking the other day,
Yeah.
why people don't throw spinnerbaits over brush piles.
Yeah.
Is
No,
it-
it works.
why do you think people don't do it very often?
There's just so many options nowadays with so many different swim baits and topwaters and stuff. It's a lot of these kids, they ain't got one in their boat, a lot of them.
Doing a mini me or something like
That's
that.
what, that was my next question. Something like
Yeah,
that.
I love
the
the
mini
mini-
me.
yeah.
Georgia Blade makes a hidden weight one too.
Yeah.
On that spinnerbait, do you put a trailer on it?
Most time I don't on the near. I will sometimes put a Kitech or something on it.
But most time you don't.
If I'm over brush, a lot of times I don't. I just move it really fast.
Trailer hook.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, I put a trailer hook on.
trailer hook.
Yeah.
See, I was sitting in the shop the other day though, and that thought, just when I'm here by myself, I go down some rabbit holes.
Probably dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and that's the reason I have to go to church on Sundays. But I was actually thinking the other day, thinking about spinnerbaits, and why people don't throw a spinnerbait over the brush. It never gets talked about.
Yeah. Yeah,
What-
no, I'm a big spinnerbait guy.
Yeah, wouldn't you think though that you want to show the bass something different? They've
Yeah.
seen 15 million Seville's. They've
Oh, yeah,
seen
or
15
fluke.
million
Yeah.
pencil poppers. Why people and Buddy might be going like, "Shut up, Danny. This is probably something I do." But again, why people don't do that more often?
Yeah. I'm not real sure. Like I said, I think it's just one of those things on these herring lakes. Spinnerbait just don't really get talked about. Springtime, people throw it a little bit, but other than that, I don't
Yeah,
really throw it.
it's a springtime bait, or
Yeah.
it's during the summertime night fishing. You're throwing a big
Right.
Colorado and all that.
Right.
As Tim would say, it's an old school bait.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my dad,
Yeah.
he's a huge spinnerbait fisherman. One of his favorite
I am
things is
too.
to catch one on. So anytime he's in my boat and it's the right time of the year, he's chunking one around. So me watching him reel so many big ones in on that, it's just something I got confidence in for sure.
Okay, well there you go. So there's you a little bit of juice, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of you guys may do it, may know about it, but I promise you, nobody comes into the shop or even on this show until right then talks about throwing a spinnerbait over brush. So maybe you should go out there and give that a shot. Now, how about colors? Let's say cloudy day,
Yeah, I like an all white one.
white blades or
Yeah.
with white blades.
Yep.
Okay, sunny day.
Just as close to chrome as you can get really on Lake Lanier.
So you're basically just doing the same
Silver,
stuff, just
yeah.
with a spinnerbait.
Yep.
I assume double willow.
Yeah.
Double willow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Brody Lindsay fishing, going out on Hartwell this weekend. Top baits ? So if you were going to Hartwell this weekend, what's Buddy Benson throwing?
Definitely top water. Shower blow, chug bug, a fluke.
Same
and
stuff, pretty
Seville.
much.
Yes, identical stuff. Same. They're on the same structure.
Now I know the MPFL was there. We talked about this
Yeah.
before the show. Had a tough tournament. The guys did great, but as
Right.
far as the weights and all that, it was tough.
Yeah.
So let's say he goes out there and that top water bite is just not working. Seville's not working.
No.
What's your next go-to on Hartwell?
Yeah.
Specifically Hartwell.
I like a shake yet on Hartwell around those brush piles. Does really good. But same thing, drop shot does really good too. When it gets tough, if it's real slick and sunny, there ain't nothing moving around schooling. It's a good option to go to a shake yet or a drop shot and catch a big one.
Okay. So on Lanier, you've mentioned the drop shot a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of guys throw shaky heads like
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Alatuna, they throw shaky heads like crazy. But you've only really mentioned drop shot tonight.
Yeah.
Do you like the drop shot over the shaky head?
In the summertime, I personally do. I don't catch much on the summertime on Lake Lanier with a shaky head. Now, wintertime and any other time of the year, shaky head, you won't see it on without my front deck having a couple of them tied on. But
Right.
this time of the year, I'm not a big
Going
fan
with
of
the
it.
drop shot.
Well,
And again, we're talking casting to the brush pile
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
You ever go along the bank or along a point and you casting that drop shot as well?
yeah, not as much on Lake Lanier, but yeah, I will throw a drop shot around like that some.
Like on other lakes? Like
Yeah.
what would be a lake?
Cherokee, I caught a lot of mine just throwing a drop shot around on some of those isolated rock piles and stuff.
Okay. All right. So Zach Lamb wants to know what size shower blows. Zach, appreciate you joining us tonight, buddy.
I think it's like the 110's the one I mainly throw.
What about
It's not the real giant one, but the one below that's the one I throw.
and your Seville's the 125, the
Not the real giant one, but the one I throw.
and your Seville's the 125, the
Yeah.
standard that everybody
Yeah.
throws, and then the Fluke was the super Fluke.
Yeah, just a regular super fluke.
Super Fluke like that. All right, Stone Cold Steve D's got another question for us tonight. What's the best knot to tie spinner baits? I've donated too many to the lake on my first cast. Hurts my feelings to watch that money sling away.
I don't know. Honestly, I've never really had that problem. I just tied.
I tie a
Just a-
clinch knot.
Yeah, I just tied a
You-
Palomar knot.
Palomar knot. I always just tied that old improved clinch. In fact, I tie it on like 90% of my stuff. I've never had a clinch knot
Yeah.
fail. Have you?
No,
Well,
I
if you're
mean,
throwing a wacky one,
Listen, I caught fish on Lake. Listen, I caught fish on Lake Lanier Monday night on a weightless wacky, and I caught them from 2 foot of water to 30 foot of water. I didn't catch a lot of them,
were
but
they
I
big?
did. No,
Okay,
listen. Let me tell you how bad our night was.
I can tell if you were in a boat.
Yeah, well, it was bad. Exactly. But of the 12 we did catch that night,
6 pounds.
only 2 of them were keepers.
Ooh.
Only 2
We've
of
all
them.
had nights like
Listen, story of my life. Everything was short. Okay, basically, let's just put it that
that.
way.
You felt right at home.
I felt right at home. I was a little bit embarrassed. Okay, so timber. What are some other ways? Like, we rush to timber. Those are kind of the same things.
Yeah.
You're talking about that. What's an outlier bait that nobody's thinking about?
a spoon, big flutter spoon's a really good way to get them to bite when they're not acting, when they like really don't want to come up and chase nothing. A spoon's a really, really good way to get them to bite, and really big ones sometimes.
Okay, so I carry the Georgia Blade spoons.
Yeah.
And again, I'll put them in the description so you guys can order some of them if you want. But 6-inch, 5-inch, 4-inch, 3-inch. I've got all those sizes.
Yeah.
What are you going to start off with?
I'm gonna start off with the bigger one, the 5-inch, and then just see what they're acting
You like the 5-inch?
Yeah, 5-inch is my go-to on Lanier and Hartwell.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And again, Georgia Blade sells their products everywhere. They're a
You know,
great
Deshaun
company.
was had a post the other night. Did you see that on?
No.
YouTube?
What did
It
Deshaun
looked
post?
like he was throwing a flex it, probably about a 2.5, 3-inch,
Really?
and he hit some good fish
Had some good fish on the old Flexit spoon
on Alatuna.
on Alatuna. Well, there you go.
Sure did.
Now, on your flutter spoon, just you throw the hook that comes with it. Do you ever change it out to a feathered?
Yeah, no, I don't want to change mine out to a feather.
You always change it out. Now,
Yeah.
they make them in a variety of colors.
Yeah.
White, nickel, nickel.
Yeah, shattered glass.
Yeah,
all
I mean,
kinds of stuff.
what do you like throwing?
The Georgia Blade one, I just like the regular standard spoon, like the chrome one.
Yeah,
But the Nichols one, I like the shattered glass, and there's one other one I like. I forget the name of it.
you see. So Georgia Blade makes a 6-inch.
Yeah.
Great product. I ordered a 6-inch from Nichols. That thing came in. It was actually like it's a foot long. I don't know what.
know.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's not a 6-inch spoon,
Right, yeah.
but they call it a 6-inch spoon. That thing's got to be 8 or 9 inches.
It comes with a feather hook too, doesn't it, Nichols?
I'm not sure.
yeah,
sure.
I think it might.
Yeah,
I
but
think
you
it
like the
does.
shattered glass and the nickel.
Yeah.
Okay, Finders Keepers. That's a name. Do you recognize that name, Tim?
I do not.
All right, so Finders Keepers. Appreciate you joining us tonight. What is Buddy's biggest bass in a tournament? That's a good question. And let's go. Let's do this. Let's break it down. Smallmouth, spot, largemouth. What's your biggest
Okay.
smallmouth?
My biggest smallmouth was a 512 on
Good Lord.
Pickwick when I won that tournament.
All
I caught
right.
a 512 on the last day. And then me and Braden Hubbard in a high school tournament, I caught a 603 spot, I believe is what it was.
Goodness grief.
That's the biggest spot I've ever weighed in.
Now, this is tournament. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
tournament.
And then I guess the biggest largemouth would be that one I caught on Okeechobee this year. It was like I think it was like 7.9 or 7.10, like a 7.5 pounder.
Okay, so those were tournaments. Now
Yeah,
I'm gonna flip it over. What's your biggest smallmouth ever?
That was my biggest smallmouth.
Okay, that was your biggest biggest spotted bass ever.
My biggest spot I caught when I was like 12. It was like 6.5 pounds. Yeah, it was like 6'6" or
12.
6'7".
That's like the first time hunter shooting a 12-pointer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
that's good.
giant.
All right, what about largemouth?
Largemouth. My biggest lake largemouth was on Lanier. It was 9.3 or 9.4. Caught it off bed.
What do you mean your biggest lake?
I've caught some out of ponds that went 10
Okay.
pounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Biggest one I ever caught out of a lake was 9.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught out of that old Gold Creek pond?
I caught one back in the woods back there that weighed 10, 12, I think.
He had
Yeah.
so Gold Creek is a golf course community, but the golf course kind of went under.
Yeah, it went. Yeah.
Yeah, it went under, and so his daddy bought this house. I mean, right on the lake.
Yeah.
And like every time I'd go over there, Buddy was if he was around, you were fishing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I
he
fished it
was
every
in
day.
it every single day. So, what's your biggest largemouth?
1227.
12-20. Is that a Florida fish?
No, it's a Mississippi fish.
Mississippi fish. He's from Florida, so he fishes.
Yeah.
He's a
I've
flatlander.
got 4 over 10 out of Florida.
4 over 10 out of Florida.
Mm.
Tim, what's your biggest fish?
Probably 8, maybe a little over. That's about it.
That's about it. We ain't gonna say mine. So
All mine came out of Toho, out of Florida.
Toho out of Florida.
Yeah, Lake Toho.
What's your favorite lake to fish? Not Lake Lanier. As far as all these tournaments you're going, what's your favorite lake to go to?
Gotta like Okeechobee.
Yeah, Okeechobee was a great time. I don't know about my favorite, but it was a good time. But Lake Murray is one of my favorite out there. It was straight full of giants.
That was a fun tournament to watch when the elites were there.
Yeah, no, that lake it's special. It's unbelievable when you're out there and start fishing and just see what actually lives in the lake.
Was this lake at Gold Creek by the old par 3 in the woods?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's it, Carrie
Oh,
Bell.
yeah.
That's that lake. And seriously, Sam got it. Now you since sold it.
Yeah.
He since sold it, but yeah, that was it right there. So that was it.
out there every day.
Out there
In a
every
John
single
boat.
yes.
My batteries would die. I'd swim it back to my house, and next day I'd be right back out there.
I know every time
Until they
I
died.
where's Buddy? He's on the lake somewhere like that. But we had Patrick Walters on last week, but that tournament, people fuss about watching bass tournaments now. That tournament, because of live scope, everybody's looking at their butt, but it didn't matter. You're still looking at their butt. But that lake was crazy in that the schools that would come up were largemouth.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
I thought that was the craziest thing I'd seen.
Yeah, I've been over there a couple times. It's the amount of 4 to 5 pound fish that live in there. It's just, it'll blow your mind.
Is it bigger than Lanier?
Yeah. No,
Murray is a bigger lake than Lanier? And it's got bluebacks in it, though.
Yeah. No, it fishes a lot like here. Hartwell fishes pretty much identical.
See, but that's what's interesting to me is you say identical, but Lanier's a spotted bass lake.
Yeah.
Does Murray have spots?
No, it ain't got. I don't think there's a spotted bass in there that I'm.
Boy, I hope they never get in there.
I know. I hope they don't decide to put them in there.
There
one
goes
day.
the neighborhood if they do.
Yeah.
Well, spotted bass are fun. They make a mean taco, but they can ruin a fishery. Take Lake Blue Ridge up here, for example.
Doesn't take them long either.
It does not take them long. Blue Ridge, 20 years ago, you could go target smallmouth. You could go up there and fish just for smallmouth if you wanted to. And now they're still in there, but they're not like they used to be. I know they're trying to bring that lake back.
Yeah, I think even Chatook had them at one point, and then the spots have pretty much completely taken over that place.
They have. And so, like Jonathan Farmer always says that even though they still got smallmouth, he calls them unicorns.
Yeah.
Because they're unicorn fish, because you just don't catch them like you used to. But that Murray tournament, though, man, that was just, it was different.
Yeah.
And you said it fishes like this, that's what it just blows my mind because it's largemouth.
I know, and it's straight largemouth. Yeah, but it fishes. They're definitely out there just like here chasing herring around.
Yeah,
cool.
That's what makes Latham pretty cool because it's got spots and largemouth. And the largemouth you got two kind of largemouth.
Yeah.
The old kind that sits on a log and, does what a largemouth is supposed to do, we think. And then you got some that get out there right in the middle of all that school and they're chasing those bluebacks all over the lake.
Yeah, even on Lake Lanier, there's way more largemouth out there offshore than what people think. They just, when there's 2 largemouth in a school of 30 spotted bass, the chance of that largemouth getting something is not good just because those spotted bass are so aggressive and so fast. That
I still think the largemouth's cool. I just think spots are so much more aggressive.
No, they school like on Hickory Log and Canton's like that.
School a lot more than what we think they do.
They do, yeah. So Hickory Log and Canton, again, electric only reservoir. It's a little bit bigger than Latham. We've seen pictures of a couple spots caught out of there over the years, but it's predominantly largemouth, and they do get out there in school. One thing I've noticed though with Hickory Log is it has threadfin shad only, and so the largemouth that are out there chasing, and I'm sure some guys know it better than I do, and I might be wrong, but in my experience, the big ones, the big largemouth, are not out there chasing in the threadfin lakes. I think for such a small bait, it takes a lot of energy. I guess I don't know.
They sit underneath them.
You think that's where they're at. So the little ones are crushing them, the small ones are underneath them. But on Latham, You can throw in the middle of a school and pop a 4-pound largemouth. I've done it. But you see them blowing the bait up and you throw in there. And I would say out of every 10 fish you catch, 3 or 4 could be largemouth. And it might even be more sometimes. But
no, that's why I love going up to Hartwell too, because this time of the year there's so many largemouth offshore. It's just such a good time. There's nothing like watching a big old 5 or 6 pound largemouth come up out of the water.
Yeah. You mentioned the spoons.
Yeah.
What do you throw in your flutter spoon on?
I like mine on like a 7.6 medium heavy, something that'll kind of load up, but you still got a lot of backbone to get it in the boat.
Okay.
Because they like to spit a spoon out. It's so heavy when they come up shaking their head, they can just get that spoon out of their mouth really easily. So if you don't really keep them coming to the boat and keep the line tight,
pinned,
yeah, they'll come off.
What about all these? Okay, Landrum's got a question real quick. So, is there a limit on spots on Blue Ridge? I haven't kept a bass in nearly 30 years, but I've read that people are encouraged to keep spots on Blue Ridge. I will say this: I don't know officially, and this again is secondhand. So this is not Danny Pruitt making this statement. I have heard that yes, you are encouraged if you catch a spot in Blue Ridge to take it from the lake.
Yeah.
And that even if you are over your daily limit, it's kind of like look the other way. Now, I don't know that to be true. This is guys coming in the shop talking. So I wish they would, though, because then you just have largemouth and, smallmouth.
Even not, though, even if they can just get a lot of those small ones out there and help. I think a lot of times when whoever stocks these lakes, they stock a lot, especially with the spots, they stock too many of them and they overpopulate and they get where they can't grow. If they take some of them out of there, they'll grow a little better. And
I'm telling you, spotted bass make a mean taco.
Oh, dude, yeah, and they eat way more than they're supposed to. So one spot's going to eat as much as one, or I don't know, probably 4 or 5 largemouth will eat.
Yeah,
just one spot.
Well, that's why they're 14 inches long with a gut.
Oh yeah,
you very seldom see a largemouth throw up a gizzard chatter.
Right.
Well, you'll see spots all the time.
Oh, they're puking up everything.
Oh, my front deck is nearly destroyed because it's just bait fish and crap and
I know
they're eating so
much.
Black
light at night. Look at you.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Listen, that's one thing you don't want to get around me is black lights. Nobody needs a black light around me. We will leave it at that. Justin Fancher, and I hope I pronounced your last name right. Is there a time to throw a minnow presentation instead of a roboworm on the drop shot? So do you ever put a minnow style bait on your drop shot?
Yeah, I do a lot of times. Smallmouth can't stand it. They love it. We put a Kitech or a Z2 or something like that on a drop shot. They love it. But
what about around here?
Around here, I don't do as much good with just letting a minnow sit still like that. If I'm gonna throw a minnow, I gotta move it pretty good.
Yeah, so you want your minnows to move.
Yeah.
Tim, pull your beautiful face up back there. There you go. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we have an episode here recently where somebody said we should look at a fluke on a wacky rig? Didn't somebody say that?
Somebody did mention that. I do not remember.
On an eco rig?
No, on a
wacky rig.
A wacky rig.
That was in the comments, or
was it in the comments or something?
I think somebody on the comments said it.
Okay, yeah, because I couldn't remember. I just remember somebody had brought it up. Now, do you ever throw the wacky rig?
I love throwing a wacky rig. I've caught them on
good. You can stay now.
Yeah, I've caught them on a fluke style bait like that with a Nico rig. Like I've caught them in the wintertime doing that, where like putting a nail in the head of a fluke and then wacky rigging it kind of and throwing it out there.
Kind of deep in the ditch like that?
Yeah, I've done good. Now that was like before Demiki fishing and all this.
Right, you just had to do what you had, what you had.
Right.
All right, let me ask you this. I've heard that wintertime ditch fishing occurs again in the summertime. Yes,
like
or
it
no?
happens again.
Like they load up in the ditches again.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but they will. Yeah, some fish will get around that timber that's out there for sure.
That's out there, but they're not. But you're not going up in a creek channel fishing a ditch like you would.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean you definitely catch a lot of fish doing that though. Yeah.
But you don't do it.
No, I'm not a big fan of it. I like the stuff that's out towards the humps and points and stuff.
Okay. All right. So let's take a hump, because we fished a hump Monday night, and I was telling you about it, and it was loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded. Just they weren't playing. You kind of mentioned one thing that possibly we could have come back to that hump at a later time, and they might have fired up. So that's we're going to go with that, not our fishing ability. So it was a timing issue. How do you approach a hump? Is there a certain way? Does the wind have a factor? What is what determines I'm going to approach the hump from this side or this side?
Yeah. Lanier's a little different because like if you go on like ledge lakes or TVA lakes, it's all about like they all throw north or throw upriver, let your bait come down. Here we ain't really got that. So yeah, I mean, I like a lot of times if I'm in a tournament and I pull up to a brush pile one way, when I come back the second time to fish it again, so I caught a 4-pounder the first time, and I would know like, okay, I'm coming back to that brush pile. I'll pull in it completely different than I did the first time, just to give those fish a different look at
so
how it was. Yeah.
So what about a hump for the first time of a day? Just say it's the first time.
But however my boat's pointed towards it, honestly.
Okay, so there's not a lot to it. You say, I'm gonna go to this hump and go.
Yeah.
All right. What about a hump with no brush on it?
Yeah, I mean they get on that kind of stuff. Lanier, you can't hardly. I'd love for somebody to tell me where there's a hump without a brush pile on it.
That's true.
A lot of these other lakes they get on humps and stuff that don't have brush. But yeah, like I said, Lanier, I'd be shocked if somebody knows where there's not a.
Danny, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned in the beginning that you run Lowrance, Humminbird, and Garmin.
Yeah.
What are you using for mapping?
I use Lowrance for all of my like waypoint management. But I also have my Humminbird for mapping that I use too. I use it for side scan a lot, but if I'm in an area where I'm like really like have caught some fish and really want to find every little brush pile and stump in that area, I'll pull up my map on my Humminbird and see if I haven't missed a point or if there's a point or a hump that my Hummingbird's showing that my Lowrance ain't showing. But other than that, it's really side scan and stuff like that.
You use what Lowrance has C-map. That's what you run.
Yeah.
Is that what you use as well?
Yeah.
You like where it bleeds into it? I was looking at Garmin today on a podcast.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like Garmin bleeds. It looks like if it's red and you change it to yellow next, it stops right at the red and the yellow begins.
I know. I do like how it kind of blends in like that. It looks good. The C-maps, it's definitely.
Are you cheating on me? Listening to another podcast?
Every night.
That's okay. I'm into the open stuff. We can do that like that. Amanda, if you're watching, that was a joke. That's my wife. That was just a joke.
He was serious.
That was for entertainment purposes only, right? And not the express written, whatever. Yeah, whatever. I was just joking. God, I get myself in trouble.
Here we go again.
That's right.
Rabbits.
Yeah, rabbits. Have you ever messed with like the Lowrance or fished with somebody with the Lowrance, live and the Humminbird Mega Live? And what do you not like about those compared to the Garmin? Because people use all the product. People use them all. So what do you not like about Lowrance?
Yeah, the only one I've used Lowrance, which I've yet to use the brand new one that just came out. Interested to see what that one looks like because I've heard really good things about it. But honestly, I believe it don't matter. I think whatever you have the most confidence in and whatever you're used to, because I think that's the biggest thing. Whatever you're used to and what you're comfortable with, that's what's best for you.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. And I've just gotten so used to the Garmin, and that's just what I'm used to.
So when I fished with Robert Robleski, he has the Lowrance.
It's touch and go. It's just so easy.
Well, yeah, but I fished with other guys that had the Garmin before, and I hadn't experienced the Lowrance. It looks totally different.
Yeah, no, it's two different images for sure.
Yeah, he's sitting there going, "That's a brush pile," and I'm like, I couldn't tell. Now with the Garmin, I knew exactly what a brush pile was. It's just different. Is there a plus for a Lowrance over a Garmin at any time, or a Mega? Do they do one or two things better than a Garmin?
Yeah, I've heard the Lowrance one's a lot better in shallow water. Because the Garmin can be a little weird in shallow water, but like I said, that's kind of a personal preference.
Have you used that perspective mode any?
Yeah, I got perspective on my boat. I got two Garmins on the front of my boat, one for perspective and then one for live scope. But the perspective, it's really good for bed fishing and stuff. Like if you're up shallow, flipping around some bushes and stuff, you can really see what you're flipping around, if there's a bed there or not. If there's a vein of rocks coming out or something like that, you can really tell what it is.
Yeah.
A lot like 360, but now you can actually kind of see them swimming around in real time versus.
So that's what it's more like.
Yeah, just shoot like 360 is just shooting an image, but the perspective image is kind of the same thing, but it's just live.
But you can actually see the fish.
Yeah, and it's a lot clearer too.
Now let me ask you this: since you mentioned you've got two transducers on the front of your boat, are you in favor of the elites, MLF, all those going to a lesser, like limiting the size of the screens you can have, the amount of transducers? Are you in favor of that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it don't really bother me. If they do it, and I'll switch mine up. But till they do, I don't know how they'll do it with all the sponsor stuff with the
Maybe
they will.
It's a good question. Now, do you believe there is a limit where there is too much?
I think it definitely needs to come to some sort of limiting to it because some of these dudes are definitely getting way out of hand with it. But yeah, like I said, I don't see them doing too much of a limiting, but yeah, I could see them limiting the transducers for sure.
Okay, let's say you're in charge of it. You got to make the rule.
Yeah. If I'm in charge of it, I'm making it where you can have probably at least no more than 2 live scope transducers, which
Right.
like a lot of people are running one on the back. They're like, I have 3 on my boat, live scope transducers. I have one at the back that sets by my console that I have another Garmin in the back of my boat for live scope. So if it was me, I would limit it to where at least you have no more than 2 transducers and probably, I think 5 fish finders is plenty in my opinion. If you can't have them, you can't have 5.
That like my brain could not handle that much
Now,
information.
his fishing partner on a draw or something would love it because he'd
Yeah.
be able to see what's going on the
Oh,
back
yeah.
of the boat.
No, 100%.
Now, can he control that at all?
Yeah, no, it's got a little stick.
It's got
where
the
you can
stick.
spin it
Yes, okay. I know some of the guys got that in the electric world. They got one on the back.
around. Yeah.
But 2 lives. This is I want to make sure
Yeah.
I get this on record. So, like when
Yeah.
you're famous one day and all that, and you're complaining against somebody.
Yeah.
I remember when Buddy said so. Two lives,
Yeah.
no more than 5 screens.
Yeah. And 4 screens is plenty. 2 on the front, 2 in the back. That's like more than enough than you need.
Yeah.
But with all this stuff they're coming out with nowadays, it's nice to be able to have it on your boat where you ain't got to tinker with your other ones to get it. Like for perspective and regular live scope, the settings are completely different. So like it's nice to have 2 graphs for it so you don't have to sit there and now I got to put in all my settings for that one. And if it's tournament day, you can't do that.
Okay. So out of curiosity, I said Jeremy Conkright says 3 graphs and 2 transducers. Okay. Yeah. Hey, listen, that's quite possible.
That wouldn't be bad.
It wouldn't be bad, but you definitely are in favor of keeping the live.
Yeah. No, I'm a fan of live scope.
I know you could fish without it, but
yeah.
How about this though? You guys most of the time fish without a partner, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you have a partner in the All American?
Yeah,
Y'all had co-anglers there,
co-anglers.
but on the upper stages, you don't.
Yeah.
So I could see them getting rid of the one in the back like you got. But would it ever serve you to have one up front and one back if you just had 2? Would it ever is that just useless? That's rendered useless pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
the one in the back, I have it and it's cool and all, but like you don't have to have
You don't have to have
like it's
all right. So what percentage of time of you fishing do you use the perspective at all now? Outside of bed fishing.
Yeah. Outside of bed fishing, not much, but again, I'm still kind of learning with that whole deal. So
yeah,
I'm getting better with perspective by the day. So hopefully I can keep using it more and more.
You guys in the comment section, I would find it interesting to find your opinions on as far as Adam W says they should have as many as they want to fish in his improvements. That's kind of what I was wanting to know what you guys think out there. Follow the light outdoors. I like that. I do absolutely like your picture for your tag right there. So that's pretty cool. When out on the water and dealing with variable water weather conditions throughout the day, what live scope settings do you find yourself adjusting to improve your image?
Yeah, I'll just kind of change up my color for the most part. Like I run amber like pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
I will change it up depending on the weather.
Just so that
colors.
you can see. So
yeah,
more of a
it'll
visual
help
for
you see a little bit better. But for the most part, I just run amber.
I wish my cousin was on here because somebody said on this show about the gain or something, and he turned it down. And while he picks up more, I think that if he's watching, he can correct me, but he made an adjustment where the screen is more fuzzy. It shows a lot more garbage, he says, but the fish show up better.
Right.
So do you know kind of?
Yeah, no, I like running mine pretty hot to where like, there is a lot of, or not a lot of fuzz, but
he might be running it hot. Yeah. So I might be going the wrong direction.
Yeah. When you run it like that, you can see it seems like a lot better, but you're seeing everything, whether it's anything floating in the water, you'll be able to see it.
Now you mentioned us talking, we might've said it earlier, but definitely before the show, you love night fishing.
Yeah. Big fan.
Okay. Big fan of night fishing. And we went over the standard big spinner bait, that kind of stuff. But how much do you use your live scope at night?
Yeah, I use it a good bit. Like throwing a Georgia blade night blade at night, I catch Probably 50% of them would live scope.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that was interesting because remember Bill Payne said he uses it more for finding structure. But you're saying you can still see the fish and all that.
Yeah. Like as it gets later in the year, it won't be as much because you'll just be like throwing it a brush pile or something. And like, I mean, you'll watch them shoot at it, but you're not catching that fish. But like the last 3 or 4 weeks, the fish have been spawning. A lot of those spots have been spawning on those humps still.
Yeah.
So you can just watch them on your live
Still spawning
up there on those humps, paired in two, and you can throw that knife blade up there and catch them.
You're still finding spawning fish on the
Yeah, there's still good bit of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you believe we've heard it said here that the first wave of spawners is always the biggest ones?
Yeah.
In your experience.
In largemouth, I somewhat agree, but
In
I've
largemouth.
also, most of the tournaments I've won off of the bed have been in May. So
in May.
Yeah.
If they're spawning 2 or 3 times, as what we think,
Yeah.
it's not always going to be the first ones up there.
Right.
Well, didn't we bring up last week the fact that we asked Patrick Walters that question, that there's a second spawn?
Yeah.
Have you noticed any of that in the fall?
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, people call it a spawn, and it could be 100% a spawn, but I kind of think it's just wolf pack fish grouping up, kind of roaming around for bait. But very
That's as
easily
good.
could spawn.
I mean, that's as
I
good
know
as
on like
anything.
Okeechobee and stuff, they swear those fish pretty much spawn year round down there. So
Really?
yeah.
All right, Florida man. Have you heard that?
No,
You haven't heard that?
the fish is so damn good down there. It doesn't matter what time
Yeah.
of year.
Well,
No, I
I
agree.
get that. Did you say something, Tim?
I did not.
Oh, I did not. Are you awake back there,
I'm
Tim?
awake. Yeah.
You're doing a good job tonight.
I've got another question for him.
Yeah.
Because you had live scope on the back when you
Right.
fished the All-American over there, or when you were at Pickwick.
Yeah.
Did your partner at that time, was he, how well did they do off the back of the boat?
My co-angler on the first day of the All-American did really good. He was in 5th, I think, after the first day. And then my other two, they didn't do as good.
Were they as
and then
versed
at
in
Pickwick-
reading that?
Do what now?
Were they as versed in reading?
Did they use your live
No,
scope?
they don't use my live scope in the bag. Most of the time on tournament day, I don't. All I have in the back is 2 fish finders, and on the front, I'll have 2 to 3. So most of the time on tournament day, I have either 4 or 5 fish finders on my boat, and then so like my live scope back there won't be there for.
You take it
tournament
off?
day. Mhm. A lot of times.
Okay.
Now, if I'm like, hey, you follow Oklahoma or you follow Alabama for that invitational the other day, I left it on there because a lot of times your school's official move around on those ledges and it'll help you locate them a little bit quicker. So
Okay, that's interesting.
I kept it on there for
Yep.
there.
Have you, let's see. Jeremy Concrite says, it's hard for me to believe fish are spawning in water temps in the 80s and 90s. You know, that, and to be honest with you, it's a debate that we've had with guys. We've heard different varying opinions on it. Some guys are convinced now on Lanier, if they're on humps, now that water's still down there a little bit. It's still a little
Yeah,
bit
no.
cooler down on that.
Yeah. Which the water temp on the near right now is only like 76, 77.
Yeah, but like on
78.
Okeechobee, that I definitely could see his point to that, but I don't know. We've heard people say it. We're not biologists, so definitely it is
Yeah,
not.
Yeah,
it
I
is
have
not.
no idea, honestly. I've just heard some people talk about it.
Okay.
They act like you can catch one on bed in October all the way out to June and July.
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake guys make? Your average weekend warrior going out fishing in the summertime.
I would definitely just say not moving fast enough. They'll find some fish and want to sit there because they can see them, but
Just stay there
seeing them's only about 10% of the
of the game.
catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the things other than that? Like let's go back to like the deep timber.
Yeah.
You see guys, and you probably don't see them, but you know, because you're fishing your stuff and you're going, but maybe you've heard, you know, guys saying, I can't figure out why I can't catch a fish deep.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the things you think they're doing wrong?
Definitely could be not fishing deep enough. A lot of people get out there in that 15, 20 foot and think that's as deep as a bass will go. And when the summer months hit, July and August, they'll move out there to that 30, 40 foot of water for sure.
Okay. Let's talk about keeping fish alive in the summer because you're fishing
Yeah.
tournaments. So what is your preparation for your live well? What do you do on a tournament day?
I always, like the night before when I fill up my bass boat, I'll put one bag of ice in the live well side that I plan on using. And if I have a co-angler, I'll throw one in there too for him.
Mhm.
But tournament morning, I'll just whenever I get out there and start fishing, I'll fill up my live or whatever, put some fish in it. And once I normally get 4 or 5 in the boat, I have an oxygen tank I put in my boat. And that is, if you've never had one, that's definitely the deal to keep them alive in the summertime.
Okay, how does that work? For somebody that doesn't know.
It's a little metal tank that's oxygen, and then you got a little hose that's got a little
Stone.
Yeah, a little stone on it, and it goes in your live well, and you just turn it on. You don't want to turn it on a lot where it's putting a lot in there, but just a little bit. And I had one at Cherokee on the second day that when I hooked it, it started bleeding, and it was early in the morning because I don't normally turn my oxygen on until like 9 or 10. But I threw it in there and it was looking rough. I opened the lid to put another one in there, and I saw that it was looking real rough, like almost dead. And I turned that oxygen on and looked back in there like 30, 40 minutes later, and I couldn't even figure out which fish it was because it was so lively. Yeah.
Do you ever you know
Any juice?
add G juice?
I keep a big bottle of G juice in there too. I add that throughout the day.
All right, so let me ask you the old whether it's true or not. What about a bottle of Mountain Dew?
Yeah, I typically keep one in my boat, but
I don't know why that works.
Yeah, if I don't have that, I do the same thing with G juice, just pour it down his throat, and it seems to work nearly just as good. But just Mountain Dew, it definitely. Yeah, I was fishing with my buddy Dalton the other night in a night tournament up on Chattooga, and I think he caught the fish, but one of us caught a fish and he hooked it deep. And I had a Mountain Dew. I was drinking. He's like, "Let me get your Mountain Dew." I was like, "Dude, come on!" And he got the Mountain Dew and poured it all in there. I was like,
But people believe in that.
Yeah, oh yeah,
and it does work.
No, it works.
Sure. Do you prefer fizzing a fish or weights to keep it upright?
I like weights, but in the long-term life of that fish, definitely after weighing and stuff, it's going to live probably better if you fizz it. But I think a lot of people get the wrong idea about fizzing, and they'll catch a fish in 25 foot of water and just immediately think it needs to be fizzed. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it probably does, but it doesn't need it bad unless it's in like 35 to 50 foot of water to where that fish is not going to go back to the bottom unless you fizz it or do something with it.
Okay. Do you fizz through the side or through the mouth?
The couple times I've done it to the side, but
yeah,
I'm no genius with it. So
I'm not either, but I go through the mouth. I'm afraid I'm gonna hit something.
Every time I do, I'm scared to death.
Fish life, fish care is awesome. UFC Guru official says I do agree with that. And guys, we're getting later on. We're getting later on in the show. So if you got any final questions for Buddy, definitely want to throw them out there so that we can extract all the juice from them as possible. I asked you a question before the show. I said, what's your ultimate goal in fishing? What was your answer?
To make the Elite Series.
That's your goal, is to make the elites. What does Buddy Benson have to do to make that happen?
Get in the top 9 in the points. Right now I'm in like 30th or 35th, somewhere in the 30s.
And that is top 9 in points in what the opens?
Yeah, for the Bassmaster Open.
How many of those do you have to fish?
There's 9 of them.
You got to fish all 9?
Yep.
So if you finish in the top 9,
yep,
after fishing all that, you automatically qualify for the elites.
Yep.
All right. What's keeping you from doing it?
Just I need some good tournaments. I've yet to kind of have like a real good tournament. I've had some good ones, but nothing to like no top 10s or anything. So hopefully coming up, I can get me a couple of those to really get it going.
Yeah. So give me an example of the lakes you're fishing.
So next I got Eufaula, Oklahoma. And then after that, it'll be a little bit of a smallmouth swing. It'll go to St. Clair and then Leech Lake. And then after that, it goes to Mississippi River. And then the last one will be on Lake Hartwell.
So that's a big variety of
yeah. And then it started in Florida and went to Arkansas and South Carolina.
Yeah. So when you see the schedule, what was your favorite lake? Like, yes, I should do good there. And what was the one that scared the daylights out of you?
Okeechobee probably scared me the most just because it was like the first tournament, didn't have hardly any experience down there, just a scary tournament.
Yeah.
And then the one I was probably looking forward to the most, probably obviously Hartwell, but besides that, probably St. Clair.
St. Clair, smallmouth. We talked about that. Finders Keepers. Is he fishing the church fundraiser this weekend? And what's he using?
Yes, that is.
So do we know Finders Keeper?
Finders Keeper.
Yeah, the name. I mean, because he's talking about a church, so he must know the.
Yes, that's my home church. The Soul Filling Station. I will be there fishing.
Y'all got a tournament this weekend?
Yep.
Where's it going out of?
I think it'll be at a Little Hall.
Really?
Yep. Scott Barnes just helped putting it on. Yeah.
Can you still sign up for it?
Yeah. No, I think you'll be able to sign up all the way up until.
And if somebody wanted to jump into that, how would they do it? Oh, so it's Jason from church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
Jason, awesome.
yeah. So there you go. What are you going to use, man? Come on, drop it now.
Probably just a fluke in the top water.
You
honestly.
lie like a dog.
Honest to
Really?
God. Yeah.
Yeah. Honest. Okay. But if somebody wanted to sign up for that tournament, how could they do it?
You can go on Fishers and Mims West website to do it, and then you can just pay at the boat ramp. I'm pretty sure that morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it is a team. You can do it as a team thing like
Team
that.
deal, and then I think they actually have it going on where you can fish from the bank too. They're having a separate tournament from the bank, big fish tournament from the bank.
There you go. I like that. What's the buy-in for that?
I'm not 100% sure, honestly. I haven't.
You haven't?
I
You're
don't know.
fishing a tournament. You don't even know what the entry fee is.
I'll show up and find out, I guess.
Did your dad pay the entry fee?
No,
for you?
he's not. He's not.
Is your dad fishing against you?
I'm hoping he will, but I don't know. I don't know if he'll fish against me.
Yeah. Well, he's in Illinois right now, right? Or going to?
Yeah,
it?
he'll be leaving Monday.
Oh, he's leaving Monday, so he'll fish that. TKR wants to know: do you pay attention to the thermocline any?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, there's times there you really got to worry about it, but I don't know. It's not something that I really worry about too much or pay attention to like a whole lot.
So you say you do pay attention to it, but you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, don't get me wrong, there's times that it can be a big player, but for the most part, it's something you don't really have to worry about all that much.
Really, when does it become a big player?
Anytime the lakes are turning over, it can get bad.
So in the fall?
Yeah, the fall it can get bad. September, October.
Yeah. So in the summertime, you don't deal with it that much.
No, you ain't got to worry about it right now.
But a lot of people talk about it as soon as it gets hot, like, oh, the thermocline's setting up.
Yeah.
I don't know that. So
Well, it starts getting cooler.
Cooler.
Yeah.
You got any questions for this young man? He done dropped his phone.
No.
We might take up a fundraiser to buy him a new phone. What about you, Tim, back there? You've been quiet tonight.
Y'all are doing very good conversating, keeping me busy flicking these cameras.
You are doing a good job. I tell you what, he gets so mad at me because he tries to time me sometimes, and I mess him up like that. So, Casey Blanton, what's up, buddy? You throwing the 7-inch fluke?
I think Casey won Monday night tournament this week.
Did he win the Monday nighter at Alatoona?
I think they did.
Was he? Listen, was he throwing a jig or a nighttime
He had a
spinner
jig.
bait?
I'm sure he had a jig tied on.
Do you know Casey?
I do not.
He's an Alatoona hammer. He likes his jigs,
Yeah.
and he likes his nighttime
You
spinner
didn't catch
baits.
him throwing the 7-inch fluke.
Yeah, he didn't. So, so your next event's on your follow,
Yeah.
and then what about locally?
I try and get in any local BFL or ABA that my schedule lines up to. I try and get in it, and then same with the Scott Barnes or really any local tournaments. I try and get in them if I'm here and able to get in them. Ain't got nothing going on.
I'm going to ask you this: who's your biggest competition? Like when you pull up to a Scott Barnes tournament, you pull up and you see somebody there, and you go like, or who do you want to beat? Who do you want to beat?
Bunch of them,
who do you want to beat? And it can be a buddy or whatever. I mean, who's the guy? Like, I don't care where I finish as long as I beat this guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bunch of them, but yeah, I could sit here all day naming them off. But yeah, if it's wintertime, you definitely Alex Prince is as good as they possibly could get, and then freaking Paul Driscoll, he's getting old, but he ain't slowing down on fishing by no means.
Paul,
he's always one to beat, and
I really like him.
Yeah,
he's an absolutely cool guy.
Yeah, he's as good as they get.
The first time he came on, he walked. I never met him until he walked through the door, and he comes in with that old Zoom hat on. I'm like, but I said, boy, he looks ill. He ended up being just the nicest man.
Yeah. He was nervous as hell.
He was nervous. Like, you've done like the first 30 minutes of a podcast. Oh, Paul's over there, man. He wants a cigarette. I can tell. So. Definitely not throwing the 7-inch on tuna, but I do throw it on at Lanier and on the Tennessee River.
Yeah.
So there you go. So
they did win.
They did win. So there you go. So I'll tell you what, buddy, I think you pretty much answered all the questions I had for you.
I appreciate y'all letting me come on.
No, dude, like
talk with you.
I love you.
I
always have, and your family. You got an absolute fantastic family, but it's going to be really cool because you're only 19, man. You got some time.
Yeah.
Are you getting impatient though?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm ready for some stuff to start happening, but can't do nothing but keep fishing and keep putting yourself in the opportunities to make it happen. So
absolutely.
We're going to keep doing that.
If somebody wants to book a trip with you, how can they get in touch with you?
If you just go on my Instagram or Facebook and shoot me a DM or get my number through there, so you can find it on both of those, my number, and just shoot me a call and we'll definitely get out there and get after it.
Yeah. And I tell you what I will do in the description down below.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm going to put your number
Yeah,
where somebody can get in touch with
sure,
you, or I'll link your
100%.
Instagram or something like that. So, guys, I tell you what, hey, listen, young kid, got a bright future, and it's going to be really cool to watch him compete. I personally think he's the next big thing to come from Lanier, and we're going to be seeing him fishing the pros. He's always succeeded at what he jumps into. So, dude, you're a class act, and I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yes,
and all
sir.
that. So
Thank
I
y'all.
think the questions, he answered them all very well and everything. So you did a good job for your first podcast.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate
So
it.
it wasn't too rough on you. We was nice to you.
Yeah. no,
Next
it was
time you come
awesome.
on,
Yeah.
you gotta tell your family they can't watch like that. So we're gonna no.
Oh, God.
Anyway. So guys, hey, listen, appreciate you joining us on this episode. Next week we got a couple of good episodes coming on. I'm working on the guest for next Thursday, but I can tell you that in 2 weeks on the 20th, Gussie is going to be joining us, and we're going to talk some more finesse fishing with Gussie, and I can't wait for that. And you guys, if you're on the water this weekend, you know them crazies are out there in the pontoons and in the jet skis and all that, and they got all the right to be out there. But guys, be careful first and foremost with everyone. Don't forget to keep Darren Taylor and Amy Taylor in your prayers. And again, I'll try to find more information on the benefit tournament on Lake Hartwell. I think they fish the ABA couples. I think that's it. And we need a Mike Buka Bullshad podcast. Jeremy, actually, I talked to Buka, and he will be coming on here in the very near future. So we will try to get him on. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.